1, 2, 1, 2.
Coming down.
Well, we're very privileged this week to have on the man who counted that lovely track in.
1, 2.
Do it live. Oh, it was so good. And those lyrics, how did you come up with them?
Which ones?
1, 2.
Oh, 1, 2. Oh.
Yeah, a lot of people would have messed that up. Hello, Sydney J. Green.
Hello, people.
Thanks for coming
Thanks for
down,
having
man.
me.
It's
Yep.
great to see you.
Yeah, we
Yeah.
appreciate you coming down.
Thanks.
Now, Sydney, I know you from producing our album, which is the intro there.
Sure.
And you've done so much with your music. So you're a drummer, a music producer, a session man, and a musician all around.
Yeah.
You know, so wow, like this is perfect for us. I was actually really nervous today.
Well, yeah?
Yeah, well, I cleaned the studio. So I'm like, oh shit, someone's coming that
Yeah.
knows how to actually do this stuff.
Oh, yeah. I was doing deadlifts to Mary Mary
Oh, great.
today, yeah.
That's
Good
perfect,
song.
actually.
Yeah, it's-
Yeah.
It reminds me, the intro
Dead
to that song with the flange,
Oh, yeah.
I used to have this Marshall TSL 100, like a shitty amp, and all it had was distortion and a flanger.
Yep.
And I used to just play the E string like that, and that's what it brought me back to that. It's great.
Mary from Mantissa,
Yep.
which was a band you were in back in the day.
Yeah. Is that where we're going? Straight back to...
Wow, well, I think we should
go
go.
there.
Let's
maybe we
go
should
before
further
that.
back.
Yeah,
Yeah,
let's go further.
Where did you grow up?
Let's start there. Western Sydney, actually.
Okay.
A place called Auburn. So, I grew up there and school. And I got a phone call when I was about 19. And they were like, oh, you should go down to Melbourne and try out for this band. And their drummer was leaving and they needed a drummer quick.
Yep.
I was like, oh, yeah, maybe I should. I had an old XB Falcon. I don't know if any of you guys know cars, but this old XB Falcon wagon with a V8 in it, and off I went. Gregory's, throw it out the window because it only gets you as far as like Liverpool, right, on the Hume Highway. And no phones, no.
Yeah.
Just took off. Just
The book, the bloody, the road book.
Roadmap.
yeah.
That
Just
went crazy.
I just followed the sign right to Melbourne.
Yeah.
1990.
What year was this?
Yeah,
It would have been one road, just straight down.
yeah. Well, it pretty much went through every town as well, right?
Yeah.
Yeah,
It
that's
wasn't
right.
a freeway.
Cool.
I think it was about a 10-hour drive. And I got to Melbourne, I called up and said, yeah, I'm here for the audition. And they sort of sent me down this road and it was wild. So got there for the audition, set up, and they're like, oh, that was great. Do you want to stay another day? I'm like, yeah, cool. Stay another day.
Yep.
And the second day goes through. Oh, that was really great. You want to stay another day? And I'm like, this is feeling good.
Sweet.
All right, cool.
Yeah.
I was there for a week and I was in, and they said, "Oh, yeah, we're happy if you want to go with it. We've got a tour coming up in 2 weeks with Jane's Addiction."
Shit, awesome.
Jeez.
And I just went from a 19-year-old Western Sydney kid
Holy shit.
just into the thick of it. Like,
And you played in bands before, so obviously you had a bit of a pedigree.
I was playing in cover bands and
Yeah.
a little original band, but I mean, I walked into a fully signed, that was signed to a record contract, and it was big money. It was the biggest record advance of any Australian band ever.
Wow.
Still to this day.
Hell.
It was wild because they had some great lawyers. It was like a $300,000 advance, but only for Australia. And then when we signed to the US, we signed for another $300,000 advance. So we got like 600
And
grand.
how much was a house back then?
Shit.
Would have been 30 or 40 grand?
40
Yeah.
bucks.
40 grand for a
40
house?
Yeah.
So it
Wow.
was pretty wild,
Yeah.
right? So, and of course, we were just kids. So
Yeah, how old?
this-
19.
How old were the rest of the guys?
they were a little older, actually.
Yeah.
I think one of the reasons I got the gig, because I was a bit younger
Yeah.
and perhaps probably a little naive and would just go along with it, you know?
Yeah.
You didn't have to worry about you. You were
Right.
going to be cool. with
Yeah.
it.
I've got a question that everyone would be thinking this. Did the guy, the singer, Adam, did they get him because of his abs?
No doubt.
Jesus Christ.
Yeah,
Actually,
he was ripped.
yeah, he was
I've
ripped.
had abs
Oh,
once
my.
in my life.
Yeah.
And my abs are like that.
Yeah.
Like, you know, like
He
4 on
reminded
1,
me of-
3.
He reminded me of
Jesus.
Brad Pitt on Fight Club. You know, remember how
Yeah.
shredded he was
Super.
there?
He
Oh,
was
man.
super
Was he doing sit-ups between every song or
Now,
what?
you know, he was surfing, skating, but he was also, when we started, he was working a lot of road work. He was like into road working.
Yeah, okay.
So I think
Out
he
in the hot sun, just
out
sweating
in
it
the
out
hot
all the time.
and probably lots of like labour.
Yeah.
You know,
I think
but-
good genetics as well. On
He's
him.
just a wiry
Jesus.
looking
Yeah,
dude.
well,
Yeah.
he was a worry
Oh,
dude.
man.
He looked like a wild dude.
Yeah, he looked like it'd be a good time, that guy.
Yeah, Adam was a wild dude. And yeah, he's a good fellow actually.
So what got you into playing drums? Like, why did you pick the drums?
Yeah, I grew up around drums. My dad played in a band, so there were drums in the lounge room, and so I started super early. You know, about
Yeah.
5, just gravitated to the drums. Yeah, and just kept going.
Self-taught, or did you?
Yeah, I am pretty much self-taught, but then I was sort of on a bit of a search for more. So I've done a few amazing sort of what they call drum camps and master classes. I
Yeah.
did an incredible one with a guy named Benny Greb. I don't know if you've heard
No,
of
I haven't.
No.
Benny Greb. He's a German guy, and he does master classes mostly in Germany, but a little bit around the world. So he's incredible and really inspiring. And I was like, I think I want to do this. So,
Yeah.
you know, it was a flight to San Fran, Frankfurt, and then a speed train to like 3 hours in the middle of Germany.
Yeah.
Holy shit!
Wow.
Just to
Yeah.
go
Just
to
to do this.
Right, just to
Bloody
do
band camp.
yeah, it was like
Wow.
this is big.
Oh,
Yeah.
It's really big, and it's like 18 people. It's a small class, so only 18 people can get in. I guess I was quick enough applying, and then once you get there, you realise everyone's travelled from every edge of the earth to
come to this guy.
yeah.
Wow.
And it was like a week long. You sleep there, they feed you. It's in a 600-year-old castle in Germany.
That's awesome.
It
amazing.
was.
Yeah.
I have to say, it completely changed my whole life.
Yeah.
Like not just drumming, but everything. Yeah, it was a really,
Was
really
that
incredible
before
place.
Mantissa, or was that after?
No, this was about 8 years ago.
Oh, yeah.
Oh,
Okay.
yeah.
So pretty recently.
Yeah, fairly recent.
Yeah.
And you know, I did master classes, sort of learning more about the drums before that. But
Yeah.
yeah, mostly self-taught to answer
Yeah.
the question,
Yeah.
and then a big change, knowing what I knew, and then taking this knowledge that this guy just spewed out for.
It's amazing difference.
week long.
Like Adam and I are in the same kind of thing, you know, not flying off to Germany, but we've both played since we were 13 and stuff. And even when we were younger, we were kind of arrogant about it. It's like, I had a teacher for 1 year and that was just from school. And then it was like, I'm my own dude. I don't need that shit.
Yep.
You know, and I was so wrong, you know, and
Yeah.
I started taking lessons again 2 years ago, and I'm mad for not doing it earlier, you know,
Sure.
like everyone needs a teacher.
Just makes it easier.
Yeah.
That's what I found.
And
I-
it inspires
yeah.
you.
Yeah.
You know?
I think you get to a level too where you search for more,
Yeah.
because you can only take yourself so far, right? And then that's when you go looking.
Yeah.
And if
I
you
think
can
you're
find
right,
the
yeah.
right person to inspire you
Yeah.
and then share their knowledge, and then you take what you have and make it yours.
Yeah.
You know?
Where did you hear about this masterclass?
This guy's really famous on YouTube.
Yeah.
You probably would, as soon as I tell you, he had this little SpongeBob drum kit, and he just shreds on this tiny little.
I think I've seen it actually.
Yeah, right. It's got like 4 million
Yeah.
billion views, right?
Yeah.
And
That's the guy.
as soon as I saw this guy shredding on this little kids kit. I'm like, what the? You know, like,
Yeah.
who is this guy?
Yeah.
Next minute, like I've stalked him for like a month, like going through everything, and just fell in love with his whole ethos with music, and then I saw that, you know, I was following his website, and
Yeah, and suddenly came up and you
it
had
was
to go.
like, he's doing a masterclass, no
Yeah, yeah.
way,
Yeah.
you know. And my wife Ellie said, "Why do you do it?" And I'm like, "What do you mean? What? What do you mean? What? It's in Germany, right?" You know. And she's like, "Yeah, you should do it." And I'm like, "Hell yeah!" You know,
Yeah,
like,
that's awesome. What a
yeah.
good woman.
And it was, it was wild.
Cool.
Completely blew my mind. Even years later, like stuff that he was sharing, it was just so advanced that you couldn't take it all in. But as you sort of applied what he was teaching, things were coming out later.
Like technique wise?
Technique.
Yeah.
He was big on time efficiency and time efficient practice versus deliberate
Yeah.
practice.
Yeah.
It's the whole 10,000 hours. Have you guys?
Yeah,
Yeah,
well,
yeah.
Yeah.
And
Gladwell, wasn't it?
yeah. So he's big on doing things deliberately as opposed to just
Yeah, I've got a problem with that. I'll just sit down, play the same things, and just noodle, you know, for
Yeah,
ages. And
right.
And it's not really. It's
Yeah.
fun. It's playing. It's not practice. You know.
Yeah.
But
so-
that's where he breaks
Yeah.
that down. He breaks fun practice and then discipline where you do
Yeah.
something you can't do,
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
then you eventually can do it. Yeah,
Wow, that's
So-
awesome.
And then he breaks that right down.
Yeah.
And he's also just written a book, and it's been released. So yeah, that arrived.
Beautiful. Oh, you've got that too?
Yeah, yeah.
That's right.
Just take my money. Yeah, he's super cool.
Yeah.
He's an older guy.
He's actually, he'd probably be 10 years. Well, I was 50 last year. I turned 50. So
Congratulations. Made it halfway there.
halfway there.
Yeah, yeah.
So yeah, he'd probably be 40, I'd say.
Oh wow.
But studied under some incredible teachers and a lot of Indian music as well. So he's just got the numbers down.
Yeah.
I think it's like a common kind of practice, maybe like the German and maybe the more Eastern Bloc type teaching seems to be advanced, like in coaching in a lot of things.
Yeah, right.
As well, like
Yeah.
whether it's music or sport, their systems seem to be just on a different level. Like I remember in there was like footage of like the boxers from like it was black and white, maybe 60s or 50s or something, doing stuff that sports science promotes today that no one had any idea about
And they were
then.
50 years ahead.
Exactly. Yeah, just
Totally.
stuff like that. And it seems to be in their, it's almost in their culture to be like, you know, you're saying like really specific practice and
Yes.
just looking at things from that different standpoint.
Yeah.
It sounds like you could learn heaps from coaches like that or like teachers like that in all elements. Like if he's bringing a book out, that'd be cool to read just from a different coaching perspective to take the
You could
principles.
apply this book to just about anything. It doesn't have to be drums, or it doesn't have to be music, actually.
Yeah.
Which is sort of why I said he sort of changed not only the way I play drums, but the way I look at music, and then also the way you look at life
Yeah.
as well.
Once you master one thing, you can master many others, they say.
Yeah,
Because you have the tools and the knowledge of how
right.
to do it.
Just need the time.
That's where it's at, man.
Yeah, it's kind of like you're running out, eh?
Time.
Yeah, well, it is
Time.
time. Yeah. It's not money, it's time.
That is.
Hey.
Yeah. Yeah.
Wow. So hold it. You're signed to.
Let's get back.
Yeah.
Yeah, let's go back.
You guys are signed to Mantisa. Got signed to Sony, was it?
Polygram.
Is Polygram still around?
I don't think so.
No,
they
all
probably
got
went
eaten up,
broke
didn't
because
they?
we spent all their money.
We're not allowed to talk about what you spent it on.
Yeah.
So
Whew.
that's a lot of money, eh? So
It's a lot of money.
and
Well,
it's just in the bank, and the band just have this money. And
okay, well, this is how some of it got spent that I know of. So we did the Jane's Addiction tour.
so was that the Ritual, their last tour? Was it?
It was their last tour.
Did you play in New Zealand?
No,
Oh, you didn't do that.
we didn't play New Zealand. I think they played in New Zealand first, and then
Yeah,
their last
because
bit was in
I was
Australia.
outside the New Zealand concert for that one. My mates had tickets, and I just stood outside like a broken ass. So
Right.
I was broken ass. They were good back in the day, old James.
Oh, they were
That was
they
a good
were
album.
amazing. And I do remember that was like hard gig because we were the support band. So I think we'd go on at 8:00, do 45-minute set, and the next gig was in Brisbane, and we were standing in Melbourne.
Yeah,
So it was a 23-hour drive, Melbourne to Brisbane.
they didn't fly you up.
God.
Bastard.
Oh my
Right?
God.
This was 2 weeks into this band, right? I'm like,
Oh my god! What am I
have-
doing?
What have I done?
Don't worry, the 600 G's is coming.
Yeah. Man, it was nuts. So yeah, we literally pack up the kit, get it in the car. 23 hours later, you get to the destination, unpack, play.
Holy shit!
It was
tired.
wild, man.
Yeah.
And
Wounded.
yeah, it was great. But we were just running on
Yeah.
adrenaline and all of it.
Yeah,
It was wild. So did that tour, and then we went in to make a record, our first record, and we were like, oh, who are we going to get? Guys wanted to get this producer called Terry Date, who'd produced Soundgarden, Bad Motorfinger.
Oh shit! I was just listening to that today.
Right.
That's a great. It's their best album, I think.
It's
that
their
was
best
awesome.
album, right?
Yeah.
Terry Date had just recorded a band called Pantera, which was
Fuck, yeah.
right.
Which album was
Mega.
that one? That was Far Beyond Dreams.
Vulgar Display.
Oh,
of the
wow,
Sound.
the best one.
Yeah, the best one.
Now, like Terry rolled up and he said, "Check this band out! I just finished their record." He had those, the old DAT.
Yeah, the
the
solid
old-
like cassette.
They were
almost looking-
digital.
Beta.
Yeah.
They were like digital cassettes.
Yeah.
And he put it on, and we were like, "Oh,
Did it start with Mouth of War?
yeah."
Wow. So it was in order
And
already.
it hadn't been released, right? So we got to hear it from the guy
yeah,
who
brand
made
new
it,
before
right?
it was.
And
awesome.
we were just thinking, if he can make it sound like that, we're
Yeah.
sweet, that just blew our heads off. So Terry was like 90 grand to make the record.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So we went into John Farnham's studio, personal studio, which had it was on a 10-acre lot, all hand built in the 80s by this guy. It was all mud brick and train sleepers and recycled timber. It was like state of the art,
Yeah.
all out of the Whispering Jack record, right?
Yeah.
All the coin. Had a 7-bedroom home with its own chef and someone to make the beds. Right? So this place cost $3,000 a day.
Oh, fuck.
And we were there for 9 weeks
Shit.
making one record.
So paying the producer was 90 grand just for him, not for the studio.
Not for the studio.
Oh, man. Then you got 21 a week.
You know,
9
and
a
we're just
week.
young kids. Like, if I knew what I knew now, I'd be like, wait,
Buy a studio for that.
we could buy houses. And, I keep bumping that. So, but we didn't even question it, right? It was just like, hell yeah,
Oh, yeah. Fuck.
It was amazing. Like, and this is before computers. We've got a 72-track SSL console with 2 tape machines, a tape operator, a guy literally sitting there all day putting tape on tape machines or splicing tape. That was his job.
Wow, he was the computer.
He was the computer. And there were just reels of tape and, it was a pretty, like, as a young guy, a young drummer as well, like, I just blew my head off.
Oh, fuck yeah.
And it was the very start of my obsession with recording and production
Yeah.
because I was getting to see it firsthand and being super interested in it as well.
And that was almost the last of the best time to get into it, because leading up to then, like over in England, Abbey Road, they'd do apprenticeships, and it was all through tape, and you'd go from the bottom all the way, and then round about the 90s, it all switched, wasn't it?
Yeah,
Pretty much. So you got the last of it
I got the last of it.
before it all went digital.
Did you take your kit or did they supply?
Oh, great story with that. So Steve Perkins, the drummer from Jane's Addiction. So
He's a fucking good drummer
he's
as well,
badass,
man.
and he's in Infectious Grooves and
Oh, I didn't know he was an
yeah,
Infectious Grooves.
he drummed on that
I
record.
thought that was Mike Borden. Oh. Oh wow. No.
I could be wrong.
Yeah.
I'm pretty sure he was on that record.
Wow.
Yeah, so we're on that tour, and he's like, "Oh, this DW kit that I'm using, why don't you use that for your album?" Yeah, he's like, "Yeah, we'll just leave it, and you can just, when you're done, send it over."
Fucking awesome. Yeah.
I've got some great pictures of that. Actually.
Oh,
Yeah.
send the pictures.
Yeah.
through. We'll put 'em
Yeah,
up, man.
yeah,
for
it's
sure.
yeah, it was wild. So there we are in this huge drum room, Farnham's place. Like,
You got to meet Johnny?
we did get to meet John
Yeah,
and
yeah.
Glenn Wheatley because they managed it, and lots of amazing records got made in this place called Gotham, and there was it was affiliated with this studio in South Melbourne called Metropolis. So there was this whole Batman thing.
going on.
It was super cool, and you name it, just about any like successful Australian record was almost recorded there. Like from Braithwaite's Horses to
Yeah.
you just everything was done in this place, state of the art for the time.
Yeah.
It looked like something out of Star Wars, you know, like it was just the best money could buy.
Yeah. Early 90s was that? 92, was it?
Yeah, 92.
Did that producer do Cowboys from Hell as well? Do you know?
He
Or-
did.
Fuck. Have you heard how they found Pantera?
How they found them? How do you
Like
mean?
the first label to sign them?
No.
I read it I think it was in their book. And so they're playing at parties because no one is interested in them.
Right.
And they're just doing their thing. And the scout, I don't know, what would you call him? Where he's kind
Yeah,
of,
like
Yeah,
a
talent
talent scout. Yeah.
Talent scout. He's turned up at this party, and they're just drunk as hell, windmilling, just
Yeah.
looking like idiots.
Yeah.
He's there for maybe 2 seconds and then leaves, and they're like, fuck him, we'll just keep playing, like having a ball. He went and rang his boss and
Yeah.
said, "You've got to sign him straight away."
Yeah.
And then that's how they got
I
signed.
thought they started off as I thought they were a pop band to start with.
No,
Weren't they
they-
glam or
They
something?
They had like
they were
a-
glamish band.
Yeah.
And they changed.
and then went.
Yeah.
they got heavier.
Oh,
As
yeah.
the-
Oh, they're brutally heavy.
Yeah.
But, so I can elaborate on that story even more, and I'm going to have heaps of rock and roll stories, so
This
you're going
is
to have to
great.
Yeah,
stop
it's
me.
great.
Okay?
We're fucking all ears.
So,
Yeah.
so we'll fast forward a little bit, and we can come back to that
Yeah.
spot. But we were touring through the US on the second record advance. So instead of spending it on making a record, we spent it on living in the
Yeah.
US.
They gave you another lot of money.
Yeah.
These guys know how to spend it.
Yeah. So we rented a house on the same street as Eddie Murphy in on,
And that was the peak of Eddie Murphy.
yeah. In it was just over the bridge from Manhattan, and anyway, I'll go back to that story. But we were in LA and we went to the famous club called the Rainbow,
Yep.
and
That's the club.
the club.
Yeah, River.
Yeah,
River
we weren't
Club.
actually playing there, but we played somewhere else in LA, and then we went, let's go to the Rainbow.
Yep.
So we're walking through the Rainbow and we see Dimebag.
Shit.
And the guitar player goes, I'm going to go up and say hi and say we're from Australia. We work with Terry Date, you know.
Yeah.
I was like, no, man. It's gonna, we're going to get kicked out. And of course, you know, this is 93.
Fuck.
Yeah. So he goes up and Dimebag, you know, I'm Chris, and Chris, is, by the way, isn't here with us anymore. He died of liver cancer, so he was. But he's just a young kid, right? So, we recorded an album with Terry Date. Terry Date, Dimebag goes, "Oh, you're the crazy Aussie guys that were eating all the mushrooms out of the ground," and that's how he knew us, right?
Fuck
he
yeah,
was telling stories about
Dimebag,
you.
yeah, right, hilarious. And then we realised that Vinny was there as well. So Vinny was massive. I was a massive Vinny head.
He's the drummer.
He's the drummer of Pantera, and they were brothers, Dimebag and
Yep.
Vinny. So we ended up hanging, talking Terry Date stories, and they were like, "Oh, when are you in Texas?" And we're like, "Oh, we're going down there in about 2 weeks. We'll be there." I'm like, cool. So anyway, we're off on our tour. we get to Texas. They're there for sound check. They roll up in these like pickup Chevy trucks with like guns and not actual guns, but like gun decals on their trucks and like
Cowboys.
Confederate flags and it was just like.
Did he have the beard sprayed then, or was he?
Oh, I can't really remember
okay.
actually, but they were loose.
Yeah.
It's the only way I could. And I remember Vinny getting kicked out because he sort of smashed this pool table light. It was just this
They were
crazy.
rock and roll, yeah.
They were just on a
Phil
were
and
just
Salmo
mad.
always cracked me up the singer's his talking voice. You know?
right. Yeah,
So
Have you heard it
well,
now? Oh yeah, now it's fucked.
is it?
It sounds terrible.
I
now.
saw Pantera. I saw the vulgar display of power. Did you tour New Zealand for that one?
No.
Oh, okay.
But we toured in Australia. So
Yeah.
that night they were going. They said we're coming to Australia. You guys can support us. I'm like,
Oh shit!
and we're like,
yeah.
well, if you can arrange that, that'd be great. And sure enough,
That
Was
was,
that
it. They were true to
93?
the word.
Cool.
yeah.
93 was it?
Yeah, 93. So we did Melbourne and Adelaide.
Oh, they were on fire then as well.
It was incredible, but we were like dog meat. Like,
Oh, yeah.
Can you imagine opening for a band like Pantera? Like, they hated us. Hated us. From the moment we counted in, 1, 2, 3, just like that intro.
Yeah.
Yeah. Get off, get off, get off.
Well, you got to tell your Pantera story.
Yeah, but that's
brutal.
weird though, isn't it? Because the crowd should know that Pantera want you there. It's not as if the opening, the
Well, not
main act
always.
doesn't want the band there.
Not always though, is it?
They're hardcore Pantera fans.
Well,
you know.
actually, so they played Logan Campbell Centre in Auckland, and one of my mates, Craig Strange, he basically, I'll tell the story. He got a whole sheet of acid, and he hired a bus, and so on the
he
bus
did.
we all go, you know, and it's on Guy Fawkes night, on November 18th, and Guy Fawkes night's when everyone has the fire rockets.
Yeah, we used to have that here.
Yeah. So we turn up and we're feeling pretty good by then, and they come out and it's like you're in a war, man. It was fantastic, you know. Like the mosh pit was the whole stadium.
Fuck.
You know, you're looking up everywhere, and the place is going mental. And at one point, everything kind of kicked in pretty full on. And then some crazy cats up at the because it's double layer and there's a top floor. They brought fireworks in and they started shooting it into the crowd, and we're all on the same level on this bus, and we actually started thinking we were in Vietnam. You know, so we're all diving around
Wow.
and shit like that. Oh, it was a fucking great concert, man. And at one point, some poor kid climbed the speaker stack, which was gigantic. It was ridiculous.
Yeah.
You know, and they stopped the
And told him
the
to
show.
jump?
Yeah.
Did that
Put
make it on the
spotlight
video?
on. I'm not sure. Yeah.
There's a scene in the video like that, the Pantera video.
Yeah, they stopped the whole concert,
yeah,
and the guy
I
didn't
think
want
I've
to
seen
jump.
it
He was
too.
just sitting there watching the show. And they peer pressured him to jump, and so he jumps, and everyone just moved out the way.
No.
Oh yeah, but man, they put on a good show.
Yeah, I never got to see him,
rocking.
I was way too young. And I was scared. But I liked him. I loved him.
You were rightfully scared. They were
Yeah.
pretty scary cats.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's
But you
awesome.
would have been playing when Phil was still okay. Like he was still good with the band back then.
Yeah, they were all pretty tight, and it had just gone so big.
Exploded,
you know,
didn't
it
it, for them?
exploded for them. So they were, they were doing well.
Yeah, that was all to come though, because at the moment you're at Johnny Farnham's place.
That's right.
And,
so yeah,
Eating mushrooms out of the ground. I remember.
I hope you know what you're doing there. Well, you're here now, so you must have known.
some of us were, some of us weren't. Yeah, we finished that record, and during that record, actually, we get the phone call that we got the national support with the Red Hot Chili Peppers,
Wow.
Oh shit, awesome. Yeah,
which was a big slingshot into our career, I think, because it was such a Blood Sugar Sex Magic. It just
what
wow.
an album.
Yeah.
just went huge. Under the Bridge was huge. They sort of had one gig in every capital city, and that song went huge, and then they had to add all these other gigs. So we did one Sydney Entertainment Centre, and then 2 Hordern Pavilions,
Yeah,
and then Melbourne Tennis Centre with 2 festival halls, and so on, all the way around. It was really amazing.
Wow.
did you hang with them?
Hung with Flea.
Because he's a surfer as well.
Yeah,
isn't
he was a surfer, and Chad. They were like down to earth, just dudes. You know,
Yeah.
Yeah.
we'd meet them. At this point, we're flying now.
Right,
So
Put
you
in a long
know,
drive.
so we meet at you know, the airport lounges, and Flea would go, "Hello, Sydney." He'd call me. He was the only guy that called me Sydney, and you know, it's pretty funny. But Anthony, he couldn't leave his hotel room without just being mobbed by
Yeah.
girls. He just had two bodyguards that would pretty much just escort him from a car, limo, backstage. He'd stay there, and that was it. He was.
Yeah, imagine that
That'd be
life.
shit.
That ain't cool.
It
be
would be, yeah, and I think obviously that's got to do something to your head,
Yeah. Feel so isolated.
you know.
there.
And you know, I have to say, touring with those guys, they were playing like you'd get to a town and you get to these big venues where they've got almost like a rehearsal room set up,
Yeah.
and they would play from 2 p.m. to 5 minutes before they go on.
Shit, really?
Yeah.
Wow.
They do the whole show then.
Then they do a whole show.
Yeah.
But what I witnessed was you seeing these guys, where everyone's thinking they're going on there, but they've actually been playing for like 4 hours.
They are super
Whoa.
warmed up, aren't they?
Super hot,
Yeah.
right? And it's just like it started to show me. It's like,
Dawn
ooh,
on you. This is how you do it.
This
when
is
you
like
Yeah.
this is
Different
when you
level.
get to
Yeah.
next level of being like in form, you know, like
Yeah.
just. So it was one of those takeaway things where anytime I ever play, it's warm up
Yeah.
Yeah.
for a good. I mean, it'd be great to do 4 hours, but
Mm.
an hour, you
Yeah.
know. So you're sort of going on.
Get a bit of a sweat going,
Yeah, absolutely.
then you're warm.
Yeah. Well, that's what Haley and I used to find that it's a match fitness to playing live. You know, and when we hadn't done a gig in a couple of months or something, like, it took us maybe 5 songs before we thought, oh, okay, we're into it now.
We're
We're
into
going
it.
all right.
Yeah.
You know, but once you got a few gigs in a row, we were hitting it halfway through the first song. Sometimes we even get it from the first song. What is it? I don't know what it is, but you know when you feel it, you're like, oh, we're rocking now. You know.
Like getting into that kind of flow.
Yeah,
almost.
yeah,
It's
yeah,
getting
absolutely.
over yourself enough to,
Yeah.
I guess.
Yeah,
Yeah, it
Just
is.
have it, even whether it's there consciously or not. You'd
Yeah.
still have some sort of performance anxiety.
Well, even doing something like this, you know, you go great, and then the red lights come on, the camera's working, and it's like, oh,
Yeah, well,
You
this is
know?
the first show I felt a little nervous at the start because I don't know nothing about music really, but I was interested in it. But once the conversation gets
You
fine,
can
you
see
get
it.
into it. It's
You know.
cool.
Everyone knows
Yeah.
Yeah.
like music on a base level, don't they? Like
Yeah, well,
everyone
you
loves
can enjoy
music.
it. Everyone can relate to
Yeah.
it. Which,
That's right.
And you can also you're seeing the connection between what you do and what you're into.
yeah, and,
And
how
the
it
similarities.
transitions, like
Totally.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I think success or being good at something on any level, like it all relates.
Yeah.
Like it's all comparable, or even just loving something on any level. So
Yeah.
that
Yeah.
you're
Just on
passionate
that-
about. Or,
On that, like you played to a lot of people. Like Big Day Out, you had a clip up. It's
yeah, it
fucking
looks
packed.
sick.
The
You
big
must
day.
be on. You must be so high, like playing to that many people.
Yeah.
How do you feel now? You're not playing to that many people. Do you still like have that like urge to go back to you know what I mean? Like
Yeah.
Metallica
Yeah.
and that can't walk away from it. They're getting worse and worse every fucking year, in my opinion. But they just can't give it up. It must
Yeah.
be that.
It's an incredible heightened awareness. It's probably the best way to describe it because your mind starts running a lot quicker, and then you catch up to it, and then that's why usually at the end of a gig or when you get home to reality, you know, home life, kids and stuff, and you're coming down from that. It's it's a big change, and being aware of it as well. So, yeah, I think I'm answering your question right. I think.
I was just like, do you still crave for that? Like
It's like
A
a
bigger crowd.
It's like a
Yeah.
retirement
to be in
transition.
that moment, you know, like
But but I think even like 91 and 92, that was grunge. Like that was like I wasn't there in a band. That shit, man. I was there at the concerts.
Yeah.
and something special happened between 91 and 92. 93, 94, I don't know. And then No Doubt came out and it was all fucked.
Yeah.
And but then, you know, like there was something in the water around 91 and 92, and we were
Yeah, but
really
to walk-
lucky to be there. And you were super lucky to be
Yeah,
involved in it.
super
you
To
know.
walk away from that must be.
Well, times
really
change.
hard.
You can't go back to that.
No,
Like,
you can't,
You know,
but-
everyone's got their phones up now at the big.
But
they
it's
don't
like,
even have
it's
a big
like
day
sports
out.
people like
Yeah.
Michael Jordan can't walk away from the spotlight, comes back. You know what I mean? Like,
Yeah.
They
Yeah.
still create, like, you get older, but that fire doesn't go away, does it?
I think for I don't know if it's the same for you, but it's
Yeah.
it's like it's just who you are and what you do forever. Like I heard someone say about is our mate Rogan say today that
He's
that
the pod
Tyson
father.
Yeah, that Tyson had said that you know, he's like, I can't explain it. It's like I was a fighter, but I'm always going to be a fighter, and I just can't get rid of the feeling. And like, I can relate to that now, you know, because now I'm like, fuck, I got to do it again.
Yeah.
But
Because you haven't started your guitar lessons, though.
it's
You
not
can see
though.
it, right?
just-
It's definitely,
in
yeah, it's,
Yeah.
you work so hard at
Yeah.
it, that practice, and then it becomes you,
Yeah.
and then you become it. And that's pretty hard to,
Especially with doing music, and probably boxing is the same. Playing live, you know, is really where it's at. Like and it is a bit of an addiction. And I don't even really care too much about the crowd. It's like I just like getting up there and getting in that zone. And it's like everything else is practice.
Yeah.
You know, until you're up there in front of people, that's
But even,
where it is.
Like
you
the
know?
little buzz of playing to however many.
It's
Well, I
imagine
actually think
imagine
it's harder.
playing in front of Pantera's crowd.
Oh yeah, well
know,
that
like-
would have been hard.
Fuck.
Actually,
yeah, very
a
hard.
few bottles in the head.
But even just the amount of people there.
Oh yeah,
Just
Massive
staring
amounts
at
of
you.
energy. Yeah.
But it almost, I found like the more people kind of makes it, like it's obviously better, it's a bigger high, but like I don't feel like the pressure really changes. I don't know about you.
I hate playing to one or two people in a shitty little coffee house,
Yeah, you're
and they're
right.
actually sitting there watching
Yeah.
you. That's really intimidating. The bigger, I don't know how
It is,
biggest thing
actually.
we've played, but it's actually easier the more people, man. They don't, you can't pick them out, especially if you've got lights on you. You can't even.
You
see
need
them,
distortion
you know?
though.
You blast them. You gotta-
Then you hide all your mistakes.
Well, you know, I'll keep fast forwarding and going
Yeah,
back,
yeah.
but this time last year I got to play with Casey Chambers, and she was doing a show at the Taronga Zoo. They're called the Twilight Sessions, and they're 5,000 people on this sort of amphitheater, and she gave me the text, and she's like, I'd be keen if you could play this gig, and I was like, super keen, right?
Yeah.
And she's like, here's the songs, just learn the songs, I'll see you on the night.
Holy shit!
You know what you're doing?
You hope you do.
Oh no!
I do now.
So, you know,
she
that's all I
played
can-
them just straight though. There was no little ad libs or anything.
heaps of ad-libs.
Oh shit!
Heaps. In fact, it was completely everything I'd learnt, I had to unlearn as I was going.
Oh shit.
But it was that was incredible, because it was almost like you know, you get to these points in your career where you're so comfortable there, which is why you're being asked to play, because
Yeah, you can do.
she
the gig.
has the
she knows that you
confidence.
can do it. Yeah.
She's confident that I can just show up and play. So that's another level again, where you're just showing up unrehearsed,
Yeah.
I wouldn't like that very
learn
much.
the material, and then
Yeah.
just follow her cues.
It's a
you
new
know?
element of challenge that
Right.
you gotta, so you'd have different feelings.
And especially the
connected
drum.
to it.
There's nowhere to hide when you're on the
You're
drums.
driving the band.
There's nowhere to hide.
Driving the band.
Do you use a clicker when you play, or do you
No, not with that. No, but that's definitely just a real
just
organic
feel? Yeah.
playing band.
Yeah.
I've never had to do any sort of. I do a lot of click track stuff in the studio.
Yeah. But you don't.
Not live.
You never played live. That
Yeah.
way, yeah.
That would be bloody hard. Because if you're in time with a click track, every time you hit the snare, you can't hear the track. You can't hear the click because it goes.
But that
ding,
means
and
you're
that's
in
when it's-
time.
Yeah, but you can't hear it, can you? You know, because
Yeah.
I think you're actually supposed to play off the track.
I don't know.
So you
I'm
play
not a
it-
drummer.
Well, you can, but the idea is if you can't hear it, you're in.
Yeah.
That's what I thought with guitar.
We're getting a bit technical here, folks.
Yeah.
Anyway, so
I just see Garage Band going.
yeah, that's exactly what it is.
Ping, dunk, dunk, ping.
Yeah.
Fucking get rid of that.
I think it's definitely good to have click tracks with counterpoint, and then you can hear an offbeat, or something happening.
Is Casey Chambers stuff all 4/4 or is it?
She's got all few different time signatures and things that are moving around half time, and it's pretty. There's some elaborate stuff in there.
Is there any time signature that you don't really like playing, or you just play them all?
I'd like to keep it simple, actually.
Yeah, because I know when I see a couple of numbers around the wrong way, I'm like, oh fuck, what's going on here? 5/4 is one of them.
Yeah.
Take 5.
Take 5's
17-2.
a great one to
It
play.
is, but if you don't know it,
Take
you're
five.
given the music.
So music's 4/4, 1, 2, 3, 4, and then you can do a 5/1, which is it 1, 2, and 3, 4, 5. Is that how Take 5 goes, or is it?
All right, now Benny Greb, he teaches this thing called the language of drumming.
Yeah.
So he breaks it down with words or syllables. Sounds.
That's what the Indians do, isn't it?
Right, yeah.
And all that
Yeah,
stuff,
yeah. University. University.
Yeah, that's triplets.
That's 5.
Yeah, that's 5. University.
Oh yeah, sorry. Yeah,
Yeah.
That's great. That's so much more musical. And drummers always used to do that anyway. Like
Radio,
Yeah.
radio. Listen to the radio. And he's just got these other
Yeah.
ways of. So you're not doing it as numbers.
yeah, I don't know why. Like
cool.
Amara's, my daughter's
It's easier, isn't it? Than
She's been doing
Easier.
drums like for a few years now, and she's been taught properly by Sal, who's a great teacher. But, you know, in the 60s when you're doing your drums and all that, you had paradiddle. You know, it was onomatopoeia, so it was just like that, wasn't
Yeah.
it? And then they changed it to math, and everyone couldn't do it. You know? and this guy's bringing it back to where it should have been, you know?
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah.
We're talking a language, we're not really numbers
Yeah.
humans, you know? Some of us are.
Well,
Yeah.
yeah. Benny's great because what he's saying is you learn it as a language,
Yeah.
and then you can turn it into. So you learn words, then you turn sentences, and then you have whole phrases, and then it all goes
Yeah.
back to music. So it's pretty.
I was
Great
watching
way of learning
one of my favourite drummers who was John Coltrane's drummer, Alvin Jones, and there's a great interview of him, and he almost rewrote drums. There's before Alvin Jones and after him, and when you see some of this Coltrane stuff, you don't even know where's the beat, you know, like it's in time somehow, but it's like I just couldn't understand what was going on, but why was I still tapping my foot to it? And this interview of him, he changed the way of thinking about the drums to colours. So he goes, when I hit this cymbal here, it's orange, and I see this orange come out everywhere, and that's purple.
is he high as fuck though?
He might have been, but I really like that idea, though. If you're going to create something new, you've got to come at it from a different mental angle, you know?
Yeah,
And
that's
that
true,
he saw it as colours, man, and he created a whole new way of playing these things, which, how can you do that? It's like
Yeah.
guitar. If you hear someone play something brand new that no one's ever played, like, who's that? Tosin Abasi. He's this
Yeah.
kind of American African guy that's just ridiculous, you know? Like,
He's playing triplets with hammer-ons and he's hitting it with
crazy.
the thumb. It's,
Yeah.
and it's at breakneck speed.
Yeah,
And
right.
you're like, how the fuck's he making that noise? And he's barely moving. But
what's
it's just
happening here? I saw this really bad, this is a sidetrack, this really bad interview of Tosin Abasi, and it's this cat, and he's from the 90s, he's a guitar player and all that, but he's not a shredder, man, and he tries to jam with Tosin Abasi, and Tosin's saying, okay, we'll just do something simple, and I'll play along to it, and he
Yeah.
just couldn't even do the simple shit. You know, it was a bit of a train wreck, but I'm glad the guy put it up.
Yeah.
He wasn't embarrassed. He goes, I'll put it up
Yeah,
anyway. You know?
still an interview.
So an interview. We need to get back to Mantisa.
Yeah.
So how did the first album go? So you
It went
put
well,
it out?
actually.
Yeah.
Yeah, we had a couple of top 10 singles.
Oh, brilliant.
Yeah,
Was that Mary Mary was on that one?
Mary was one of them.
Yeah.
Another song called Land of the Living, which ended up being on a surf video, which I think a lot of people, lots of young kids were watching, and
Yeah.
Sweet.
that's how they found out about us.
So far you guys have done Pantera, the Chili's. You're kind of doing these supports, and is that through your management to just get your profile out there?
Yep,
Okay.
absolutely.
And that's for the first album.
That was for the first album, yeah.
So what happened? Like with the second album, I felt like a big change in it. Like Just the feel
Yeah,
of it,
changed.
and it was really experimental, maybe.
Super experimental. I mean, one of the biggest undoings potentially, right, was in the clause of the contract. We had full artistic control, so they couldn't tell us what to play, or if they said, "Oh, we need a single from you guys."
You could tell. Who signed that contract on their side?
Idiots.
man?
Idiots, right? So yeah, we moved to the States, and we essentially relocated for like just a bit over a year until the money ran out, basically.
Did they ever get their second album? They did, obviously.
They did.
It was Thirst, wasn't it?
Thirst, yeah,
Yeah.
they did get their second album.
So you guys moved to New York?
Yeah, we moved to New York. Then we based ourselves out of there. We had a sort of front of house tour manager, and we had these two sort of they were like Tarago type Chevy vans, people movers, but we had all the gear in the back. So we had two of those, 3 people in each, and we'd rock up to these little gigs, right? Like I can't even think of, like, what was that one in Wollongong?
The little
The Youth
bar.
Centre. Or
No,
There were
not yours and
heaps of
ours.
gigs.
It's a tiny little place. Kais used to play there, my boy. I know the one. It's like
You know
a
what I
room. It's
mean.
about the size of this.
Right,
In fact,
it's
maybe
as big as this, right?
Yeah.
So this band would roll up, and there'd be all local bands there, and we'd be on the bill with a sound guy and
all the money and stuff.
all this nice new gear. It's like, what's going on? And then we do these sort of bigger gigs with sort of sort of big bands at the time. We did one with John Sykes. He's the guitar player in Whitesnake.
Oh,
yeah,
yeah.
wow.
Yeah. And he
Was that Vi's replacement?
Vi
Was
went after him.
ah
So
jeez.
John Sykes played on that big record with Still of the Night.
Here I go again.
Here I Go Again.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Some
he was a
beautiful
big-
hair on that one. So he's a pretty smoking guitar player.
Smoking guitar
Yeah.
player. English guy, right? So we got along straight away because we sort of English in Australia, and
Yeah.
and he also played in Thin Lizzy as well
shit.
as a young kid.
wow.
Wow.
So that was
with
his-
Gary Moore, maybe.
No, was it Leinard? What's his name?
There's Phil Lynott. Yeah,
Phil Lynott.
And they had there was always a double. I know. I was watching Thin Lizzy today. I think it's funny how you go through these.
Yeah.
Go back over these old records, and I've got Thin Lizzy's greatest hits. Man, they were great.
Yeah.
They were
Rock
great.
and roll music.
Really
Yeah.
cool.
And I watched the thing on Gary Moore. He just passed away a few years ago, R.I.P. And someone had said, "Oh, you should try out this guitarist." And that is Thin Lizzy had an American guitarist, and he goes, "Oh, who's this cat going to turn up?" And then he heard him warm up, and he's
Right.
like, "Oh fuck."
Gary Moore.
Gary Moore warm up, and was like, "Oh no, I want to leave the band, man."
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
Fuck, didn't he have some good licks?
Oh yeah, yeah,
Soulful.
yeah. It was great.
Yeah, well,
So it's
Sykes
big
was
shoes.
Yeah,
Yeah.
he was badass, and we did a short run, like a 6-week run, and we were doing these sort of 2,000 seat gigs, like Selena's, that sort of.
Yeah, yeah. I record you there.
Yeah, and there were heaps of these gigs in every town.
Yeah,
you
sweet.
just drive 4 hours.
Yep.
Be another one, and we did these big stretches. We did the US about 5 times in these vans.
Shit.
Based ourselves,
Yeah.
in New York, and all right, 6-week run. Right, we're going to go Chicago, LA, San Fran,
Yeah.
Texas, Florida, back home.
Fucking driving
right,
the whole
driving.
way. Oh my god.
So we saw some crazy stuff.
Fuck you.
Crazy.
What sort of crazy? Have you got an example?
Oh, man, it's probably the first time I've heard like actual guns going off.
Yeah,
Like especially when we
yeah.
got down south. Like, well, I remember one night we were checking into our hotel room and just put the key in the door. And it was just like, whoa, where are we staying? This is the wrong side of the tracks, right? Man. And like we were kids, right? I was like
Fuck.
packing like
So you were what, 20?
I was 24.
Holy shit.
Oh, it was pretty frightening.
Oh shit, man! That's
Yeah,
yeah,
get
that
that in
fucking
Australia.
label money too.
It was, yeah, there were lots of those stories, and the further you get south as well, like we'd roll up or you'd stop at a servo or and you know someone had, you ain't from around here, are you?
Ding 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 ding.
And
there
it was
it is
just
again.
like, no, we're not. And we'd be out, you know, like, oh, I'm trying to think of some crazy stories, but you know, you get the idea. It was again, no phones, no.
Yeah.
I had a little film camera, and I've got some great, like, sort of film photographs of touring, like driving through blizzards with no snow chains, right? Just holding on or following a snowplow. It was just nuts, like just to get to the next gig. And
Did you get sick of it, or was it still cool? You know.
to be honest, yeah, I think we were getting a little tired. You know, lots of booze.
Yeah.
All the other stuff, you know, was all there. You could have as much or as little as you needed, and I think we all got pretty burnt
Yeah.
and tired.
Were you getting traction though? Like you're doing a lot of gigs then, so was
In
things
the
working?
in the
or-
US, not really, because it was so big.
Yeah.
You know, we were getting known, but just on almost like any band would if they were getting in a van and doing it. Right? We just had as much money as we needed to get there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So we were the lucky ones, but yeah.
And how was the management or the record company with all this? They wanted returns, didn't they?
Clearly, no one was on watch.
Yeah.
It was a it was a non-recoupable contract as well. So we
Yeah.
we never
You didn't have to
owned
pay it back.
Fuck. Yeah, them
good
by the
is
balls.
it. Just insane, man.
That's when there was money. CDs had come out. They were
Yeah.
making
They'd have-
money handover
Yeah,
first, man.
man.
They
They
would've
didn't
had-
realise that
That's
was
the
the
real
cliff.
times, eh?
Yeah.
They probably got like Mantisa fucking
Yeah.
law, you know, like, don't
It's
do
a
this
bylaw.
again.
do not do this.
Yeah.
You know,
This is our warning.
Yeah.
this probably answers your question about what happened with Thirst, because we were going through. It was full anti-establishment. You know, anything mega corporate, we were just so against. Even though it was the very thing that was.
Drove you guys like
Feeding
funded
us,
you
right?
and stuff, yeah.
It was this weird juxtaposition that was happening, and these songs were coming out like that. So, that's how Thirst
Yep.
was written in that time. And then when we came back to Australia with our tail between our legs, and and then we sort of the devise of that as well. Like there were communication breakdowns happening within the band, and
Yeah.
It's a lot of time with the same people.
Yeah.
Under pressure,
You're not in a
partying.
good- Yeah, yeah.
Yep.
You know,
Someone's
going
gonna break.
Fuck,
Yeah.
if you're
Yeah.
not, you know?
yeah, and yeah,
It does break a lot
And
of
y-
bands going to America, man.
Yeah, and they're kids, like, really.
we were just
You're still learning how to
Yeah.
interact with each
Life.
other. Like,
You're still learning
Well,
life.
Your brain hasn't even grown, has it?
Nah, but you're just...
Brain's still fucking forming at 24.
Yeah.
Especially for us boys.
Cool
Yeah.
about that, like at that time though, it seems like everyone used to actually, you just fucking lived. Like you don't actually, like today, imagine how boring people's fucking road trips are today. Everyone's just doing this, doing this. Like there was like, there's still like proper rock and roll type shit happening there.
Yeah.
That's fucking real cool.
I
I wish I was born a bit earlier, to be honest. It's so filtered now, it sucks.
Yeah,
Just how you're going on, how you're all jammed into a van, driving around in the snow and that. I remember we played a gig in Dubbo. 6-hour drive.
Driving around in the
In a
dust.
I asked my mate, he owned a chicken farm.
yep.
I said, dude, I need a fucking van. There was like 6 of us in this band. And he goes, I've got an old chook van. And it stank like heavens.
no.
Like still had like dirt and mud and shit in the back, and we're just throwing amps on it. And like we went to the servo and bought like 800 of those little trees.
Sure, yeah.
Just to try and kill the smell. and our guitarist ended up sitting on an amp to get there.
Oh,
But that was great. We're only fucking young, 23.
You don't even.
Yeah.
You
It
don't
was a
even
thing to
ask
be
the
into,
question.
eh?
we didn't
you know,
even get
music.
paid.
Yeah.
We played 6 hours. Yeah, 6 hours away. It was
Yeah.
fucking great though.
It's because you're still doing stuff for the love of it. But
Yeah.
at that age, like,
That's right.
that conditioning of reality
Yeah.
hasn't hit in yet. Oh, you're going to make money and sort your shit
Totally.
out. And, like, in your 20s, you're sweet. You can do
Yeah.
whatever the fuck you want. No
You
one
don't
really
need
cares.
money
Nah,
at that
man.
age, really.
Well, you don't need sleep.
No.
And
You don't.
yeah, off you go.
No. Guitars are all out of tune.
Yeah.
Put on some more distortion.
Yeah.
That'll be all right.
You smell like a chicken.
Yeah, we did. We fucking stank. Yeah.
This band are wild, man. Yeah, they're covered in chicken shit.
Fuck, drove from Wollongong, they stink.
What is that
Didn't
place?
even tune the guitars. We just played at 200 beats per minute and
Yeah. Something happened.
just blast over everything so you can't hear it.
Yep.
Great.
That was fun.
Yeah.
It was great fun.
Man, we got so much more to get through.
That's good.
We're still back in the 90s.
Yeah, we're still here.
This is great. So we're Mantisa come back. Did you guys get to a third album?
No.
Okay.
Thirst was the last one.
That was the last one.
So that's 95, is it?
Yeah, 95.
And then you played Big Day Out.
I think we did Big Day Out about 3 times. I think we might have done 92, 93 and 95.
Wow.
So we did the very first one.
That was Nirvana were on
wow.
that gig, weren't they?
Nirvana were on that gig.
Wow, yeah.
There were Heroes of Hypocrisy.
Oh, what's his name?
Television. Franti.
Yeah, Michael Franti, man. Yeah.
Man.
Do you know that?
No.
He was kind of like a Gil Scott Heron cat from the 90s, you know. And he was a really cool dude. He's in Spearhead, or he changed, but like a hip hop guy, but man, political as.
Yeah,
he's got some
he
good
was
stuff.
super cool. And there was Iggy Pop.
Oh, yeah,
was
yeah.
on one of those.
Was Sepultura on that, the early one?
I think Sepultura were on a Big Day Out, but not the one I ever played.
Yeah.
Ministry. Do you remember?
Oh,
Ministry
wow.
were on some massive big bands of
Yeah,
the 90s.
They were
you
great.
know.
That was the biggest mosh pit I've ever been. Ministry at the Big Day Out in Auckland. Oh my god! It was and some guy like it was this guy mental man, and some guy kept on whacking into me, and that's a mosh pit. You know, they kept on doing it, and then it got ridiculous. You know, so I turned around to maybe get him off me. It was my best mate, and he was saying, "I wonder who this asshole was banging into me." No, there's nothing more democratic than a mosh pit, man.
Big Day Outs were great.
They started off fantastic, man. I saw Smashing Pumpkins just after their second album came out, and they were like, I think at the time, the best man in the world, you know, before he lost his hair. Something happened when he lost his hair, that cat. You know?
Yeah.
Like, the songs turned to shit, but their second album was great. Prodigy. Big Day
Yeah,
Out.
they were great.
Oh, man.
Yeah, they were really cool.
Some big
Yeah.
bands.
So, yeah,
Wow.
we were really lucky to be there, man, because when the change happened with Napster coming in and then all the digitization, it's how would can you explain the change? What happened? You know, why don't we have that level of music? Really, you know, when was the last scene? Like we had grunge, then you had like the English scene, you know, like with
Dance.
the Bristol scene, Prodigy and all that. Then the noughties hit, and it all just kind of faded away. And there was a technological change, do you think, or was it a cultural change, or both?
You could think of it in the way, because there wasn't a communication, these things happen in that subculture level.
Yeah.
But
yeah.
now it's worldwide.
Yeah, so there's no chance for it to become a scene.
Well, I mean, it's just a theory, but
Yeah.
it just means the scene's still there. It's just grand in a way, you know. I have lots of theories on that. Like, this band that I play in at the moment, 1920, like,
Yeah, we'll definitely get to 1920
right?
as well. Yeah.
I mean, we're probably selling more CDs than I've ever seen in my whole career of selling CDs, right?
Yeah.
Because we're playing everywhere. I mean, we did like 54 festivals the year before COVID
Jesus.
in 1 year.
Fucking hell.
Wow.
Massive.
That's hard.
COVID.
Right.
Yeah.
Don't get me started. And this is all this is all completely independent,
Yep.
self-managed, and no songs on the radio. But we've got this great
Like an underground
live,
thing.
just a great fun time where music's fun again.
Yeah. They're a good party band, man.
Great
1920,
party
man.
band,
People
and
love
it's pretty infectious.
it.
And we're doing sort of these festivals again, and it was doing super well until 12 months ago.
Yeah. So it's a double-edged sword, isn't it? Because like you're not going to get signed to a major label now, and almost you probably don't want to because they all want their money back now.
Yeah.
You know, so
Right. Yeah. Well, it's an investment, right?
it's an
So
investment.
They want to see it come
and,
back.
and I think maybe with the major labels, the management's changed. Like in the 60s and 70s, they were like, I saw an interview with Frank Zappa, and he was saying it was a lot better before we had these cool kids in charge of the record companies who thought they knew about music. And he said, you know, back in the 50s and 60s, it was some kind of huge white fella with a cigar who didn't know anything about, you know, he liked Frank Sinatra or whatever. And he said,
Yeah.
let's sell, that'll do, you know. But then in the 70s, these cool cats that knew about music came in. They said, "No, that's not very." The experts came in and kind of twisted it a bit, you know. And now this, I think I was like, for an example, those like pop stars in Australia's Got Talent. I was listening to an interview of one of them, you know, a few years ago, because they're off the contract now. But they have something called a 24 contract or 360 contract.
360, yeah.
360 contract, man. So it
What
means
does that mean?
every time they go on the radio, they might get a little fee for it. They get a cut. You know, the company gets a cut on you, on any single thing you do in your life. They will have a cut on that, man.
You just don't really own any of your shit.
No, there's all these kids jump on these shows and think, you know, it's going to be a step up the
Yeah,
ladder.
but
And
they're
you
not
think,
silly,
who's
they-
got famous from it? It's Guy Sebastian.
Yeah,
That was it.
that's it,
Wasn't
yeah.
it? You know, maybe Shannon did
Yeah.
all right.
Yeah.
But Guy had a church behind him, and that. Not that he's not talented, but he had his own backing anyway. You know? So, what 1920? We'll get onto them soon. But you're still getting out there, playing gigs, and building it up, man. When you think about what Mantisa had, these big record contracts, recorded music's only ever it was only around for 100 years.
Yeah.
You know, before then, musicians had to go out and play.
Yeah.
That was it. That's how they
Yeah.
made their. And then this thing came along with the Rolling Stones, and everyone could make all this money, but it was only a really kind of short window.
Yeah.
And now it's gone back to exactly what 1920 do, is go out there and bloody play and sell. You know, and people probably don't even have CD players. But
No.
when they buy a CD, they're buying it to support the band.
Yeah.
You know, so you don't even have to sell CDs. You could sell books or coffee. You know, like you can actually branch out.
Yeah.
We've
And-
got hats, stubby holders,
Yeah.
Nice.
tea towels.
We'll send, there'll be
really.
links everywhere, of course.
It's crazy. It's great. But it becomes a souvenir.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You
Yeah.
know?
I was there.
It's almost like a little throwback to like I find like having stuff, like having something to take away, because now there's nothing physical. Like you take photos, it just stays on your fucking device.
Yeah.
we were talking about that like
Yeah.
albums the other day.
Yeah.
Like,
Last week, yeah.
it's having that physical thing, that's
Tangible
right. Like,
thing to touch, yeah.
I was there, and this is. You know,
Yeah, like
people
the-
used to have
the tour
ticket
sheet
stubs and
shirts.
shit.
Yeah, ticket
tour
stubs, yeah.
shirts. Yeah,
Tour shirts, yeah.
They were
Yeah.
great.
Yeah.
Fucking, they
Don't
had
do
all
any of
the,
that anymore.
like Sydney, the
Yeah.
date, and
Yeah, we actually did a tour shirt for 1920. We did a special one when COVID hit. We called it COVID 1920. We had these online shirts. You could go,
They're still available, probably. Out there as well.
they're all gone now.
Are they? Oh, that's great.
Yeah, it's great.
Where are we, man? We Mantisa. So we've left Mantisa broke up.
Yep.
what happened there? We didn't go over that.
Yeah. Was there any particular reason, or was it just?
I don't think it was any one reason. I think it was just we saw the end of it. The label, again, this insane contract. So when we finished the second record, there was a clause that if the label didn't want to go ahead with the album, they had to pay the band $100,000.
Back to America.
Oh my god!
That's fantastic.
He would have got fired for sure. Whoever signed that,
So you got a golden handshake.
It was insane.
he got
So,
executed.
fair enough. They didn't like the record, so we got $100,000.
Yeah.
Off you go, people.
Yeah.
So there was no like one guy getting too many girls or anything like that. Fucking sick of him. He's getting all the checks. I'm on bass. I get fucking nothing.
No,
I thought that's how they broke up.
Yeah.
Usually.
We'll stick to that story.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Bass players get nothing.
Yeah, no, just personal differences and you know, that was the sort of last sort of nail
Yeah.
in the coffin with that, because it was like we couldn't really go any further
Yeah.
with that band. So, and I think that we were all sort of branching off in different ways anyway,
Like musically as well, or
possibly musically, which is why it is so
experimental that out.
avant-garde
That's-
record.
yeah.
Yeah.
I haven't listened to that
Give
one.
it a
I should.
listen.
I'll give it, because that sounds right up my alley.
It is.
You know?
That was produced by a guy named Michael Letho, who'd he'd mixed a couple of Rush albums,
Oh, yeah.
and he was a Melbourne-based guy, and he became a bit of my mentor actually for production, and because that was just in the turn of Pro Tools coming out and
Yeah, yeah.
computer-based medium, and he was all over it. So
Wow.
yeah, and he was like a tape operator. He left school at 16 and went into the ABC radio as a tape operator and worked his way right through
Yep, the old system.
all that
Yep.
broadcast system, and then became a producer himself. And and we still chat.
Yeah.
Great.
So is that
Yeah.
what happened? You didn't go straight back into a band after Matisse? You actually decided to get into the production side of it?
Well, I started really honing that skill.
Yeah.
But yeah, from Mantiso, it was almost like that was my slingshot for my career, basically, because in Australia at that time, they were a pretty well-known band, right? So everyone knew of them,
Yep.
and it was just, I just kept jumping into these sort of projects.
So so you're already in that circle, so you
Yeah.
tap into it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I was almost being invited into bands and essentially it's what I've been doing since 96.
Yeah.
Just jumping into bands as either a session drummer and then it becomes a permanent thing.
Yeah.
And then it burns out and then off I go to the next one.
Sweet.
So
Sounds like a good life.
it sounds good life, but with jumping forward now with COVID. So was it a kind of precarious life? Like you're always worried about the next gig, or were you always booked up and it was okay?
I think, you get your ebb and flow of when things are hot and then they cool down. I almost like any sole trader, self-employed person,
Yeah.
you get these big spouts, whether it's the summertime or whether it's weather. So that's how I was rolling basically.
Yep.
And then 1920, I joined that band as a session drummer. So Kane said, "How much are you per gig?" And it was like, off we go. And then next thing you know, it started to build momentum, and it's like, well, I was getting more heavily involved in the recording process, and then it's totally a equal share.
So you joined the band.
I
Yeah,
basically joined the band because it was doing really well.
So you can make a living out of being a session musician.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I never
Yeah.
thought you could.
Yeah.
Everyone else.
Oh man, I pinch myself daily to be able to make money out of music.
Yeah, that's great.
And the live thing was taking off. So there I am. So I joined a band called Iota.
Yeah.
And that was when the production started because I co-produced a record with him, and then produced a record with him.
He's a fantastic singer. I've
Amazing
seen him
singer.
a few times.
Yeah. So and then from that, I started getting some production gigs. So not only was I playing in different bands, I was also producing other artists with all that knowledge that I just learnt, basically. And that's helped as well. So when I'm not playing, I'm in the studio, and that's how I got through COVID, basically. So COVID hit. We just travelled to the Blue Mountains. We were playing the Blue Mountains Music Festival. I had 2 shows with Casey and 3 shows with 1920 over a 3-day period. So I had 5 gigs in 3 days.
Yep.
Cancelled.
Nice. Oh,
That was it. Gone. Now we were going to Amsterdam to record the next album. We were going to the Maldives with Casey. I was going to Bali. like a surf resort thing. So before you got here, I'm a mad surfer as well,
let's
right?
get onto that as
So-
well.
Yeah.
So where did that come
Yeah.
from? Because you grew up in Western
Yeah,
Sydney.
Western-
There aren't too many waves out there, from what I remember.
Yeah, clearly there is no waves. No, I picked that up when I was late 20s, and yeah, just got hooked.
Yeah.
And
Did you keep the long hair for that, or
I did for a little bit, and then yeah, that just turned into a matted mess, and off it came.
like a bit of seaweed?
Yeah. So yeah, mad for surfing. So yeah, when Casey said, "Oh, there's a possible gig in Bali, surf resort," oh, fucking dude, this is like I'm getting paid to go
Yeah.
surfing.
I'm a pro surfer now as well.
So yeah, it was.
What got you into surfing? Just the look of it, or
A buddy of mine actually said you should come out, you know, and I was like, yeah, okay. I think I started to see the analogies of like obviously just fitness, but I really enjoyed that. The similar thing we talked about with that headspace, like your mind goes faster, and then
yep,
you try and control
like
that
heightened awareness?
heightened awareness. And surfing very much that, like.
Yeah,
If you've done it. I don't know if
Yeah.
you guys surf.
yeah, it's same.
Yeah, same
We're,
thing.
we're included in his.
Yeah,
I think
Lot of
many
the
would
time,
include
you
No,
that.
we've already talked about it. It's all right.
you know, you got to switch the head, or you'll be swamped. You know, especially when it starts to get
A bit
big
and
or
heavy.
powerful.
Yeah,
And I love the meditation of it. You know, it's humbling. You can be having the worst day, and get out and have a great surf. And
Yeah.
sometimes you can be having a great day, and the surf can just humble you. You know,
Yeah.
like turn you into a
yeah.
ragdoll.
Humbled me one day, and I had 20-something stitches in my face.
Oh, really?
Yeah, cut my
Ouch.
nose in half. Down, straight down there was all just blown out, and cut my lip off across there.
Oh man.
And a couple of punctures down here.
And that was it for your surfing.
Yeah, after that I went, fuck
Yeah.
this.
Yeah.
I thought I was good. But it was weird because we surfed that same break, like 6 foot, perfect. But this day it was really small, but it was really shallow and just breaking on basically the reef. We were just out having some fun, and I took off really late, and I remember like it just sucked my legs straight over my head.
Whoa.
And face first, I like blacked out a little bit. It was crazy.
Yeah, I always hear that actually, that the small surf.
Yeah.
Everyone that I know has had an injury with small surf. You know,
Just switched off.
That's exactly what
Right.
I reckon. Like, I just didn't care. I was like, oh, fuck it. It's only
Yeah.
2 foot or 3 foot or whatever
Yeah.
it was. It was nothing
Yeah.
small compared to the week previously where you're like,
You have to be
heightened,
concentrated.
heightened awareness would
you
have
focus will be.
Yeah.
Yeah.
been, like, you very select on what you're going to paddle into. and
Yeah.
Especially at this break, it's called Red Sands. You probably know it.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
That's a heavy break.
Heavy right hander. For a bodyboarder, it was
Hmm.
heaven. Not that day.
Not that day.
I remember actually my mate when I paddled in because he didn't surf it. He was like, "Fuck that, fuck reefs." He was like, "Just stick to the beach." And I paddled in, and the look on his face when he looked at my face, I was like, "Oh shit, this is bad."
This is bad.
And that's what I look like how I do today.
Good looking bloke.
Good looking, bro.
Didn't even notice.
Scarred up. Anyway, how we doing? I've got to do a wee.
They feed it back in all of a sudden, like they cycle it. When I heard that, I actually noticed it. That was interesting. Anyway, that was social dilemma.
The social dilemma. Have you seen? There's
I haven't watched
We're
it.
jumping straight back into things now. I've got a new hat on, so I hope everyone appreciates that. I've got a beard here as well.
I certainly do.
And
Matt, you might have to move over, mate. I don't know if you're in frame.
over there.
Yeah.
There we go.
Have I been out of frame the whole time?
No, but you weren't sitting there before.
Oh, yeah, fair enough.
Yeah.
Needed room for the safari hat.
Yeah. What is a plinth hat? I think what they called it. Yeah, this is what they were wearing over in India.
You need
and
a
stuff.
musket.
Well, yeah. What's that? Jack White album. It was the last one. It's
Don't know it.
it's a what's the thing? It's a big musket with a big end on it.
Yeah,
bell end.
I thought that was the musket.
Elephant gun.
There's no. It's,
Elephant gun, yeah.
well, it is an
Probably
elephant gun. Shit. We're gonna. That'll come to me anyway.
Start with a B, maybe.
Yeah.
A busket.
Yeah. Anyway, it will come to me. And we were just off screen there. We were just having a chat about The Social Dilemma, weren't we?
Yeah.
Which is a documentary you should watch. I was going to tell you guys about a documentary I watched called. I've never spoken about it, but it was Surveillance Capitalism, which is that's just. You'll never pick up your phone again after listening to this lady.
Yeah.
You know, like so. Basically,
Is it on YouTube or is it?
Yeah, it's on YouTube. We can post a link to it. I think she's a Harvard professor. She wrote the book Surveillance Capitalism. What she did, she went all the research back to around September 11th, 2001. That's when this whole surveillance thing kicked off, and Google were just a small company then, but basically the CIA and agencies like that, they said, okay, we can use this, you know, and fight terrorism. But they weren't really into fighting terrorism. Turns out they're into just getting information and selling it to other companies. And it was all about the moolah. And Google got bigger and bigger and bigger. And then they were tapping everyone's emails and all that type of thing, and they still do. And then Facebook came along and they got more information that way. And now people have these little speakers in their house where this thing is listening to you the whole time.
Google Home or whatever it's
all
called.
those home devices, even the thing on your phone, man. So what? Because
Like
what
Siri.
It's
Wow. I don't
always
have
on.
that bitch on, but anyway.
Yeah, well, you can't actually turn her off because they
You
always
can't turn it off.
No. So you can turn it off. It says it's off,
It
but
still
it
is
ain't
there.
off.
It ain't off.
So and that's it's called surveillance capitalism. Because originally capitalism was about selling products, like this or a peanut or something like that. But now that's not good enough. If you're going to sell a product, it has to be on the net and it has to have a surveillance aspect to it. And that's what you're actually
You mean
selling.
a product like a Smack Panda shirt? Or
Well, we are the one company, probably along with 1920, that don't put surveillance shit.
No surveillance here, guys.
No. And so
just
they
want your money.
want your information, and that's what they're selling. They're not selling you a product anymore. Your car's got GPS, it listens to you. That's the surveillance capitalism part of it, is they need that. I've got one of these robot vacuum cleaners. It's got a microphone in it.
why?
I don't know. Like, so,
What's it need about a microphone?
yeah, they're everywhere. And that's what there's people going on about 5G giving you cancer and I'm not
worry
sure.
about that shit.
Or
I
not.
haven't seen 5G come on my phone
But the
yet.
actual issue with 5G is that's what it's going to be used for, because they need a stronger thing, because the lights are... I just bought some Bluetooth lights. I was silly because they are all part of the surveillance capitalism thing, you know.
This sounds like it all links in with, what's her name? Catherine.
Oh, yeah.
Guess
from
what?
the
Guess
last
who was
one.
removed from YouTube?
Was she removed?
That video was removed. I sent a link to someone. I
Wow.
said, check this out. She was like, no way. This is like a lady from the gym that's pretty intelligent. And I sent her the link and it had been taken down. I was
Fuckers.
there you
Wow,
go.
really?
Josh
Yeah.
Taylor, world champion, just quickly. You know, Josh Taylor, the unified champion. He's been putting stuff up about this type of censorship and stuff, and it was interesting to get like someone even at that level like sends her a message about. I was telling him about the video that got taken down, and you know, I was like, you'd probably just be censored. He said there's actually brought laws out now in the UK for anyone like putting anything up against kind of COVID or anything like that kind of surveillance.
Well, as with anything, you know, people need information from both sides of the argument to make up their minds, you know. And like, there's people out there believe in flat Earth. They haven't banned them because people can realise the shit's stupid, you
They
know.
probably should.
Like,
Dumb
they
fucks.
can't. Well, you know, I've been out of space, but I'm pretty sure it's fucking not that flat.
It's not a disc.
It's not a disc. Yeah. I don't know how they explain the rest of it. I'll probably,
It'd be
if I can be
interesting to have
bothered,
a
I'd
look.
like to figure out how they can even think that. But you know, it's like babying people into. Whereas they should let people say whatever they want, I think, and then debate the hell out of them and just blow them out of the water.
I think there's too many people in the world.
Wow.
There's
There's
Which ones would you get rid of?
well, what
shit.
Don't
do
worry.
you really want me to go through this?
Don't worry, COVID's sorting that out.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's
Yeah.
right.
Don't worry about Tom Hanks. He's all right.
Well, yeah,
He pulled through.
he did pull through.
So did Trump.
Yeah,
So
evidently.
COVID's not that good at killing people.
Well, I was killed a few.
Yeah.
So, well, we're not getting into COVID
No,
because we're
let's
here
not.
about the music.
We are.
Mr. Sidney J. Green.
We're here for
Let's
the
get
rock
back-
and roll.
Let's get back to the rock and roll.
Yeah.
So, Sydney, you built your own studio.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Very
and
much like this one. Yeah.
we were discussing earlier that probably not like my one, which we've been discussing for the last few weeks, where I'm building this new studio out there. And I'm just a segue. It's nice segue. I've got to tell a story. So anyway, I'm building this. I've been up. The kids go to bed at 7:30, and so I've been up for like 3 or 4 nights, finishing at 2:30 in the morning, building,
Wow.
putting a jib rocking on. You know, the jib rock, and I finally got the ceiling on. It was just like it was ridiculous. And then I thought, well, I'm not going to do the plastering. I'll get a plasterer. And then I found one. Seems like a cool cat. And he came in and he goes, "Oh, who did this?" He actually said, "Holy shit, who did this?" Which I thought, man, I must have done a really good job.
Yeah.
And
I thought
said,
that too when you sent the message. I thought Matt's killed it here.
Yeah.
Yeah, I was really
Nailing
stoked with it. And,
Yeah.
and I said, "Oh, it was me. Why?" And he goes, "Well, you know, there's a front and a back to these things." So the worst thing about it is I didn't know there was a front and a back, and I thought I'd done it the right way around,
man.
but I hadn't.
Minor
So-
details.
Minor details.
Yeah.
So it's now going to cost
It's only
a couple
gonna-
of grand.
It's going to be his problem now, isn't
Yeah,
it?
it is.
Just put another layer on.
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah.
Well, it'll
The
be
right
fine,
way.
but it was quite funny. So I've been to Sid's studio, and it's a lot better than that.
Thanks, Matt.
Yeah, it is.
So yours is underground slightly, or
Well, it feels underground actually. We were talking before. It's a garage basically, but I've laid 1,000 of those Besser blocks. You know, the big grey blocks,
Yeah.
filled with concrete. So it's like a bunker,
yeah,
which means that I can do work. I could do a lot of mixing or practice, and not disturb the neighbours. And I've got a 5-year-old son, so the last 5 years, you know, you don't want to make any noise. So it was great. I could practice late at night and not wake a newborn.
yeah,
That's it.
yeah.
So that was handy, very handy.
And that's one thing about your place when I was there, which is something I've got to employ.
Why were you there, Matt?
We were recording an album there, actually,
Yeah,
finishing
we
one
did.
off.
I believe it's up the back there.
It's up the back there somewhere.
For sale right now.
Yeah, there's no microphones in it, although microphones were used in its creation. The problem I have with this studio is I get the kids to bed and then it's time to hang out with my wife and, and have a chat about her day. And then she might go to bed or something. It's like 10 o'clock at night and just even walking from like it's what, a 10-meter walk
It's not
or
close
something.
enough.
Yeah.
It's not- Well, how do you... my problem, which I think you cured, was you don't have a TV. Is that still the case?
You know, we don't have a TV.
In the house. Wow.
That's cool.
So, which is...
That's next
That's
level.
real cool.
Yeah, it's good.
It is great, and also like what we were just discussing off air is that I'm getting rid of my iPhone and going to an old brick for the same reason. You know, I think maybe as you get older, you value your time a lot more, and even me gets
Why don't you
sucked
just-
into this.
Put your phone down.
I just can't, man. and I know I'm not alone.
And Willie's texting us 4 times in a
that's
day.
right.
I've got a lot to talk about.
So Haley's saying, hasn't he got a life? What's going on here?
I miss yours.
Yeah.
But yes.
We don't
Well,
even get a
how's
state
the-
anymore.
How's the fucking... Oh, we'll talk about it later.
Anyway,
Don't want to go into it because
So
we
that's-
don't know too much about it yet.
so that's about time management then. So is it?
Yeah,
Or-
time management. I think the greatest thing about working in the studio is that you can pick your own hours.
Yeah.
So I'm sort of just choosing to be sort of stay-at-home dad and use that time wisely to hang with my boy
Yep.
and wife, and then sort of do work when everyone's asleep.
Yeah.
Yep.
You know, it's such an amazing luxury to be able to do that, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Sometimes it means the days are a little longer,
Yeah.
but it's such a blessing to be able to do it.
So studios are pretty expensive from what I've heard.
Yeah, this one's been a lifelong collection.
Yep.
You know, so
Some of that Matisse Batista fucking money coming.
That's right.
Hang on, where's that 300 grand gone?
Yeah. Oh, I wish.
These
know.
monitors. Yeah.
By the way, I
Yeah.
quit.
Yeah. Yeah, it's just been almost a lifelong sort of obsession with collecting instruments and then things to record with, and even that trip I was talking about in the Caribbean.
Yep.
So to
Oh,
get
yeah, we haven't even talked about
to
that.
get
Yeah,
to
we're
the
gonna have to talk
yeah,
about that.
to get to the Caribbean, we fly through New York City again. So I obviously got to go there again, and so maybe I should start while I was
does it-
going there.
So yeah, this is a whole new branch,
Yeah, all right.
isn't it? So we're going to have to branch back. So
Yeah.
maybe we could start at your wonderful wife.
Yes,
So
my wonderful wife
Yes.
Ellie, who's an artist as well.
Talented.
Yeah.
Very talented.
So-
We're going to have to throw some photos up if you can
Yeah.
send me some.
So yeah, River's parents, one's a musician and one is an artist. So I'm figuring he's probably going to be an accountant.
he's got to rebel somehow.
Well, we need one.
that's right.
Someone's got to pay the
I'm
bills.
only
There.
kidding. But yeah, so Ellie got this incredible scholarship to study overseas with an American art school, and they sort of specialise in this art called hyperrealism, and it's sort of they're charcoal based.
It's like a photo.
They look like photographs,
Fuck, man.
even like more real than photographs. They're
Wow.
quite incredible. So they have a campus on this island in the Caribbean. And they have a campus in Pennsylvania. And when she got the scholarship, they said, "Oh, you can go to the Caribbean or Pennsylvania." And we're like, "Caribbean, go to that
As fun
one."
as
Go
Pennsylvania
to
sounds.
paradise.
So yeah, so we sort of, and this was sort of early days with 1920. So I was sort of,
Yeah.
she got this great opportunity, and it was like, oh, what do we do? The band's going well, studio's going well. Let's just go. Let's just do it, And I was a little apprehensive, I have to admit, because things were going well, but it felt like it was Ellie's turn.
Yep.
So just did it. We just took off. Well, before that, we saved as much money as we could
Yeah.
to live. All the tuition was free. We just had to live while we were there and get there. And this all tied in with the Benny Greb thing as well. So
Okay. Yeah.
I went to Frankfurt, and then we were meeting back in New York City, and then fly down to the Caribbean.
Where did you meet this chick? Holy shit!
On a South Coast train.
Was it
Fucking
really?
hell.
Yeah.
Awesome.
On a South Coast train.
He's going to have to
Bloody
lift
lucker.
the
Yeah.
game, girls. Jesus Christ.
It was so cool. And so we got an Airbnb in Chinatown, New York, and
Oh wow.
we I took her down memory lane. That like
I played there and
yeah,
there.
played
and
there.
on the street corner.
Yeah, it was
2,000 people.
pretty wild. And
Yeah.
and of course, whenever you go to New York City, you've got to go to the famous Steve Maxwell's drum shop, which is this vintage. And he sells all these old 60s drum kits that you dream of as a kid, right? And I walk into this shop, and we're going through like just amazing instruments of the time, and I see this drum kit, and it's not vintage. It's it doesn't have anything I recognise on it, and I was like, "What's this drum kit?" And they're like, "Oh yeah, it's a boutique kit out of Vermont. He only makes one a year," and I was like, "Oh wow, it's really nice." And
Yeah.
anyway, I was like, "Okay." And then, so we go to Anguilla, and I don't stop thinking about this drum kit. Right? And it was like,
What's wrong with you?
Yeah, what's wrong with me? And I was like, what am I going to do on this tropical island? I'm getting a drum kit, credit card.
Yeah.
I called up the drum shop, I'll take it, and they organised the freight down. It wasn't very expensive. It was $3,000 or something on the credit card. And so I write to the guy. I find him on Facebook, the maker of this drum kit. It's got wooden hoops, and I write to him and I say, "Oh, I bought one of your drum kits out of New York a couple of weeks ago," and he writes back straight away, "You've bought Goldie." That's it. I was like, Okay. I'm guessing it's like maple or something. Can you tell me a bit about it? And he's like, yep, a lightning bolt hit a maple tree on my grandfather's property.
Wow.
The next day we went out and milled it by hand, carried it back to the shop
Wow.
by hand, and over a year built this drum kit. And I'm just flipping out,
Wow.
right? Because it was just
Yeah.
I just thought he was making it up, but it was so real. So we were, so basically we were on this tropical island, and I was putting all that knowledge and stuff that I'd learnt with Benny Greb, just sitting on this island playing the drums.
Yeah.
And that was all I had to do, basically. And I was trying to be a fisherman.
Yeah.
So I was totally reinventing myself, but I found what happened is it energized me to be what I really wanted to be in a way, which was obviously a musician and never goes away.
Yeah.
And I was surrounded in this foreign place with reggae.
Oh, I was going to ask about that. Yeah.
Man, it was the
Just
biggest
immersed
lesson
in it. Yeah.
I ever got. I never was into reggae until you live on a tropical island. It's 40
That's all they
degrees
play.
every day,
Yeah, yeah.
and all they drink is rum.
Yeah.
And smoke weed. Like everywhere I went, hey man, you want some weed, man? I was like, no, I don't smoke. I know you do, man. I really don't smoke. I know you do, man. Yeah. And it was really funny, but it's their culture and
Yeah.
it's what they do. But it was very funny. But yeah, it's
Did you join
great.
a band over there?
Yeah, we ended up, I got some great friendships that were built there, musicians as well. So, ended up doing like little covers gigs and, just met some great bands that were doing, gigs. And then we were just, during the day, we'd just knock around exchanging licks. All they wanted to do was learn the rock stuff because they were sick of reggae.
Yeah.
And all I wanted was just give me the reggae, right?
Yeah.
So it was this really mutual exchange. It was fabulous.
That sounds perfect, eh?
Yeah, really great. Incredible place. Incredible
How long
place.
were you guys there for?
Oh, sorry.
What was that?
How long were you guys there for?
A year.
Oh, full year. Immersed. Wow.
Yeah. And I'd produced a record with a Australian Canadian guy, and we were super close. And so when he found out I was in the Northern Hemisphere, he's like, "Man, I'm going to book some gigs. I'll get you up in Canada." And I'm like, "Yep, hell yeah!" And sure enough, within about 2 months, he's like, "Yeah, I've booked. We're doing some little cafes, house concerts, and there's a festival, and we'll just camp and we'll just go through British Columbia in my van." I'm like, "Cool."
Sweet as. That's
So
awesome.
so we ended up. It was super close. It was like a 6-hour flight.
Yeah.
Hit Vancouver. But this was crazy because he booked these gigs like Seattle and Vancouver, close to each other, and but it's super tight, like getting instruments through the border. So
Okay, yeah.
because of the taxes, Americans can sort of play in Vancouver and not pay any tax. So there's a lot of bands doing it. So they're onto it, right?
Okay, yeah.
So as soon as when you're doing the border crossing, they see instruments, they want to know where you're going, where you're playing, have you paid your taxes, all this stuff. And so when Dom gets in the car, we pack the drum kit and the guitars, and then he puts a chainsaw and a gun and
Pretty wild show.
a 22 rifle over this gear and some ammunition in the console. I'm like, "What are you doing?"
We're going hunting.
He was like, "No, it's cool. It's a little decoy." So we get to the border crossing and they see the gun and the ammunition. They're like, "Right, everyone out of the car."
Yeah.
And they're just checking out. And Dom's like, "Yeah, here's my license." So he got they've just picked up some ammunition at the hunting shop.
Yeah.
And they're just going through, focused on this gun.
Yeah.
Not even noticing the drum
That's
kit.
fantastic. He's done it before.
Right?
Yeah, yeah.
And it's right, yep, all the papers, yep, off you go, boys. See ya. Next night we're playing their drums.
Fuck
It was
yeah.
so funny,
That's
you know. It was
It's
just
got it worked out.
just wild.
Yeah.
Just the things you do now. They're going to know I'm
They know the trick.
I was making some money, but it was such a great trip. Like, just mind blowing trip to do BC, basic Vancouver all the way to Calgary.
It's a big country as well, isn't it?
Massive.
We live in a big country, but I think it's bigger, isn't it?
It's big.
Yeah.
And I think the thing that blew me away the most was that there is actual fence from that.
America and
There's a fence.
Canada.
Is it really? Is it
They
fenced the
made
whole
a
way?
fence.
Wow.
Yeah.
Oh,
For
mate,
Canada.
Wow.
they're pretty wild.
Just be welcoming.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I heard there were like a tree line, you know, like with people fucking with, what's those people at the airport?
Yeah.
And they're just
Oh,
waving
yeah.
people in like, you want to come in? Let's go.
Welcome to Canada, eh?
Yeah.
Their heads are flipped
Yeah.
It's
not that. It's not that. Yeah,
So what do you
it's
think
nuts.
of like auto tune?
Yeah, it can be good for certain things.
People who can't sing?
No, I think what it does, it salvages a great performance.
Very nice.
Yeah,
It's a great way of putting it.
yeah.
Yeah.
Kind way.
Because otherwise you're going to have to redo something, and it might be on a different day, and you just can't manufacture a vibe. So I think autotune can be great for those things within reason. If it subtracts from like a song, then obviously.
Yeah, it's no good.
But obviously nowadays in modern music,
become a showpiece,
It's
hasn't
even
it?
become
Yeah.
in effect that is a thing. So
Yeah.
it really depends on its context.
Are there any favourite bands you're listening to at the moment?
At the moment, I've been really liking Wild Rivers. They're a Canadian band.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, they're really really neat. I'm really liking it.
I have to check them out. Well, I think when we first came down to do the album with you, we had a little interview or something first, and it sold me because you mentioned another Canadian guy, Mr. Daniel Lemoire, and he's like my all-time, almost favourite musician, you know, and he's a producer, like he did Joshua Tree and all these famous albums, you know, from U2 and stuff. But my main buzz of him was his solo albums, and Sid was the only person I'd met that actually knew him,
Yeah.
you know, in
I've
Australia.
never heard of him.
Yeah.
Oh man, he's just a sonic genius, you know.
He produced Peter Gabriel's Sledgehammer. You know the Sledgehammers. Yeah,
He spent a whole
Big
year on
record.
that, didn't he?
big
A
record.
year.
Yeah, on that album, on the solo album, man, lived and breathed this album for a year.
Yeah.
He's like foregone a family and all that type of thing. Doesn't have kids, man. It's just music. And he's like in his 60s now, well into his 60s, and he's just as passionate, man. Like he's such an inspiration, eh? He just blows me out.
Did he do Chinese Democracy with Guns N' Roses?
I think he might have said
10
that one.
years. 10 years in the making.
Yeah, oh my God.
I don't think it's ready yet.
He did do a Neil Young record, and Neil Young only records on the full moon. So
Shit, is that right?
Yeah, so it's 11-song album that took 11 months
Holy fuck.
That's bizarre.
for real. Yeah.
Oh man.
Was he waiting to turn into a werewolf or something?
He's into the big harvest moon and and the power around that moon cycle. So
Well, evidently the fruit, like mint, is stronger at a full moon. So the flavour, the peppermint things, like you pick it at a full moon and it's actually stronger. There's going to be heaps of people out there hating me for that, but I think it does. I picked mint on the full moon, man, and it's really
I
strong.
know it fucks up the stars, that's about it.
Well, the moon's been around for a lot longer than we
I
have.
mean, and it can pull ocean, doesn't it? Change
It
the
can-
tides.
It does,
can
yeah.
change.
Yeah.
Something can change the tides. It's got to do
sun
something
can't do
to
that, can it?
absolutely,
Man,
Yeah.
Can it?
I don't know.
I don't know.
I've never looked into the sun. Fuck
Yeah.
the sun.
Yeah, no, it's
No, he's great. So we'll put a few links to him as well. But
Yeah.
I find what I found with your production style is it's really similar to his. That even though you're using, you know, you still got a computer and
Thanks,
that, but
man.
you get this analog vibe, and that's what I think everyone I know that have gone to. That's what they're going for, something real. Even though like you were saying before, that you might have just a singer songwriter with no band, and well, you should tell the story. So how does like a singer songwriter comes to you,
Yeah.
just as a few songs? What happens from that point on?
Well, I mean, this is a great one because COVID hit, and you know, had all those gigs as we just talked about. The tour was booked, and luckily for me, a musician that had a studio, and basically all the musicians don't have any gigs anymore. So there's really only one thing we can do, and is make records, or make music. So, interestingly enough, the phone started ringing straight away within a few weeks, and I think everyone knew I was home as well, because I think the network of people that you're around, musicians, they know when you're busy and when you're not. Social media, usually. Yeah. So I made this beautiful record with this girl, Lucy, that I still haven't met yet, and she's a singer-songwriter. So I said, look, she was living in a van as well. So I said, just do a click track, a simple click track, metronome, and play the guitar and sing the vocal and send it to me. And then I'll do the rest. So I'd add drums and bass and some lap steel. And then I'd send her like a band track, and then she'd sing on top of it. And then sometimes she'd play the guitar on top of it as well. Send it back, and then I'd mix it. And we basically made a whole EP without ever meeting.
Jesus.
Which is
insane.
which is super cool. And I didn't leave the house, right?
Yeah.
So, and there was a point there where you almost couldn't. You know,
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah.
Before
Right.
lockdown.
yeah, fuel was 90 cents a litre and we couldn't drive anywhere.
Yeah.
You know, so it was like, great. It was really working. It was perfect. And I think people were inspired again. You know, they were getting back to, well, life wasn't so hectic for a minute.
Yeah.
You know, we all got to stop.
Well, especially when the first lockdown came and it hit, and no one knew what COVID was about.
Yeah.
And everyone took it extremely seriously, which they still do. But we noticed, we lived next door to a walking track up the mountain, and I'd never seen so many families, mum and dad, out with all the kids. There was like literally hundreds of families getting out and going up the track, and it was actually really nice.
Yeah.
And then 3 weeks later, they're breaking up.
Wow.
Too much time together.
And then Matt saw
Go
him
to
again.
fucking work. Yeah.
Well, that happened as well, you know. So it started off really well, but then maybe that's okay as well, because after, you know, like if you don't get along, maybe you shouldn't be together.
Yeah, that's right.
But I'm more on a positive note. I thought it was really cool, you know.
No, it was. I was the same. Like I lived down near Jervis Bay, and you know, all the beaches around there are just amazing, and we were finding ourselves there every day. You know, because that was really the only spot you could go.
Yeah.
And you know, we'd see everyone we knew, and you'd be, we can't stand, but we can talk, and you know, as we were going by, and for a moment there, it was like,
I was hoping it might carry on. I don't know if it will, because we're still in the midst of it, but just that reassessment of your life.
I
You
think,
know, so why are we going to work, 6 days a week, and everyone's stressed out? Like,
it
try and
shows
take
it's
it
all
back a bit.
bullshit, eh? Like, we don't need to live like that.
No, well, the thing that
We
really
shouldn't.
annoyed me is like, who's the people, the essential workers, were the cleaners. You know,
Coal miners.
coal
Why the
miners.
fuck am I still going to work?
But the
I was like,
cleaners-
yes.
Because you're getting paid.
Well, you get paid more than a cleaner. Jesus, they got the risk of catching the shit, and they're still on $15 an hour or something. It's
We've only got a risk of dying,
mental.
but anyway.
No, that's right.
The black lung.
The black lung. It's the black lung.
well, yeah. I mean, what were the rules? You know, stay at home, which is what musicians do. Stay in a black studio with no windows. That's what I do every day.
That's right. Welcome to my world.
Yeah.
I like the sound of that.
So,
Yeah.
In a studio?
Oh, yeah.
Fuck yeah.
Not in a coal mine.
No.
Yeah.
Anyway.
yeah.
So, you've gone vegan 2 years.
yeah. I
So
have.
what was the what led you down that
Catalyst.
Yeah, my wife came home one day after doing a workshop with a lovely chap called Adam Guthrie, and he's got an incredible story, and he's also got a podcast going as well.
Yeah, cool.
And
Link up.
he's whole food, plant based. He's also a chef
Ooh.
as well,
Might be good.
and a surfer.
Yeah.
And he went from, I mean, super quick. He went from a mild heart attack in the surf,
Shit.
and he was actually vegetarian
Yep.
at the time, and then he went on the meds we were talking about before in the
Yeah,
break, and
statins, yeah.
it just wasn't for him, and he needed to get off it. He started doing some research, and found a way, and he hasn't looked back, and he's won an Ironman.
Wow.
Wow.
Yeah, he's as doing what he's doing.
Yeah.
So, and now he's gone right into the science of it as well, with the the breakdown of all the things that we need. And so yeah, Ellie came home and said, "This is what I'm doing," and I wasn't opposed to it. I was just like, "Cool,"
Yeah.
I don't think I'll miss it. At first, I think I struggled because I really loved eggs and fish, seafood and stuff. So I struggled a little bit with that, and then something just switched. I saw I started feeling the benefits, and then with like blood results and things, I started seeing
Yeah,
the
okay.
benefits.
Yeah.
Good you did it properly then.
Right? Yeah, and
So your cholesterol lowered?
cholesterol lowered.
Yeah.
Memory came back. I have to
Wow.
say,
Yeah.
that's probably the most fascinating thing.
That's strange, isn't it?
Wow, that's
yeah,
great.
like
Something to do with inflammation, maybe.
potentially, right?
Mm.
Yeah. So I've been really noticing, like I can recall names, Steve, and stuff like.
Yep.
Sorry, that was a
Yeah,
quick-
that was a
yeah.
little bit of an
personal
I
joke.
got that inside.
But you did get it. We might
Yeah.
have to talk about Steve.
Yeah. So just recalling names
Yep.
and just remembering.
Well, you're pretty good at all them old bloody band stories.
Yeah, that's
Yeah,
right.
yeah.
I've got to tell those rock and roll stories a few times. So, but yeah, I've found it really, really life changing. And it's not for everyone, and I
Yeah.
don't think I was ready for it.
Yeah.
Say 5-10 years ago either. I think you just get to a point, and I think the biggest thing I'm liking about it the most is the ethics of how meat is produced.
Yeah.
And so
Yeah.
I've been sort of never thought of it, never really given it a great deal of thought until now. And it's maybe just because I'm a new dad, 5 years into fatherhood, and you just look at things differently. I don't think I
Yeah.
need to tell you guys,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
Well, we lived at the back of Dapto on a cattle farm, and yeah, because that got me thinking as well. Because everyone says cows are dumb, and the farm said cows are just dumb and that. And one day, this a calf had been born and it wasn't feeding and was just laying there.
Yeah.
And the mum, she was nothing against teenage mums, but she was probably didn't know what she was doing or anything like that, and she was just wandering off. And the bull came down and got the mum and pushed her like about 20 metres towards the calf. Then he got his horns underneath the calf, picked it up,
Fuck.
and put it on the
Wow.
on the udder. Like, that's not that dumb an animal, man. You
No,
know,
that's just a man and woman thing.
yeah.
Ding ding.
I've actually got that noise on there somewhere. So yeah, that made me think about it. I've got the same thing. I was having a discussion with my wife. I think we've got a pair of antlers over there, and she goes, "Oh, don't do that because people think you're into the hunters and fishers or whatever."
Yeah.
And I said, "Look, I actually like the hunters." She goes, "What do you mean?" I'm like, "I don't like the political party, but I think it's a lot more honest."
Yeah.
You're not like nothing is farmers either, but the truth is, the farmers, they pretend to be nice to the cows. They feed them. Everything's great. Cows think it's having a great life, and they whack it on the head and kill it. Like, it's in the bush. If a hunter's
Yeah.
out there, the animal knows it ain't good. Humans are no
Well,
good.
how
They've got a
many-
chance to bugger off.
That's
you know?
right. And how many times do they actually shoot an animal? Like?
I think if you're hunting,
It's not that many.
If you're eating what you hunt and that's it,
You earn it.
then that's like
Yeah,
ethic.
the
there's an
industrialization
ethical-
of
yeah.
Like,
it's just too much.
yeah.
Man. Yeah.
What's he going to try and get on? What's his name?
Yeah, Sky's dead.
Yeah.
Yes, he hunts like venison
live.
and stuff, but
Yep.
they literally that's the only meat they use is what he's hunted. So
That's
pretty
my buddy
cool.
Dom
Yeah.
in Canada. He's a hunter as well, and
Yeah.
that's what they. It's just a whole different world there, right? So they hunt that meat, and then that'll last them through the winter.
Moose.
No venison.
Oh,
Yeah,
yeah.
deer.
Oh, yum.
Well, Benny, who shot that, he ate that deer.
Yeah.
We'll give a shout out to Benny.
Oh, yeah. Thanks, Benny.
Thanks for the fucking
yeah,
horns.
antlers as well.
cool.
They're pretty cool.
Is that from Australia?
Yeah.
Right. Because
Local.
I don't think there's a rule in Canada. You need more than 6 spikes before you.
Yeah,
can-
he said that one's a mutant.
Oh right.
See, on the one side, it's a bit different to this side.
Oh yeah.
It didn't
got you.
grow properly.
Right. So
Also,
it
there's
is.
a rule over here as well, isn't there?
No.
Okay, yeah.
There's no rules.
Oh, they just fell off.
Yeah. Well, I got
That one was found dead.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. There's 6. There's 6.
Well, I
spikes
got
on
it.
that.
Oh, yeah, you got the
There's
lower
at
ones.
least.
That's sweet.
At least.
There's like 38 on that one. That's fucking sick.
I got the other morning.
That's a tree.
I heard something like out the front. I don't know. I got up anyway. Went out the front. We just live in suburbia here, in Caraville, and I heard this noise out the front of over the fence. And looked over, and there was about 10 deer there, like wide range. There's a lot.
There's a lot
deer
here.
up
We
here,
need to
man.
shoot them.
Talking of veganism,
Let's cut Willie off. He's getting aggressive.
So I've come out of the pit at Wongawilli, and it's like 2 a.m, and I've come out. You're coming out of a tunnel. You don't know what's out there. It's pitch black, and you get to the top, like you got lights on your machine. Turn the wheel, and here is a squad of deer just standing in the middle of the road.
yeah,
It's insane.
Oh, someone will
That's
get
in
killed on the
back-
motorway.
That's
the
in the
thing.
back of Dapto.
Yeah,
Like up the hill. There's that many deer up there.
It's the same up near where you work. Like I've driven up there to run somewhere.
At Mount Kembla. Yeah, there's heaps.
Like almost run into big herds of them.
And
Yeah.
Helensburgh as well.
Yeah, there's a lot of deer around
yeah.
here.
So but at the
Didn't
moment,
you say there was one out the front?
yeah,
Like just
at-
one?
For one time in my life, I was actually washing the car. So I just think it's such a waste of
Hardware
time.
alike in a lot
And,
of ways.
and I was out the front. This was like 2 o'clock on a Sunday arvo, and I heard this clop, clop, clop behind me. And I turn around, there's a fucking deer just walking down the middle of the road. Hey, mate. See you later. Off it goes.
Yeah,
There's a lot of deer around if they're coming out in the daytime. No
Yeah.
worries.
Well, they got no one's really,
no predators really.
no one's hunting them.
And
You're
nothing-
you're not allowed.
Nothing really dies a good death in nature either, So it's all right. They got a lot of
No.
food at the moment, so there's going to heaps of them. But Australia, we're dry. This will last for one season, man. Then it's just going to be you can't even call it a drought in Australia because it's just the natural way of things here, isn't it?
It is. We're always
bloody
in
dry.
drought. Yeah.
Unless you are one of those farmers, then there's droughts out there. Some
Oh,
of them
yeah.
farmers fucking.
Oh no! Oh yeah,
dry.
yeah, that's true. Yeah, but that's what I mean.
God,
it's
we're
kind of
just
normal.
hitting some shit on the
We're
head.
getting it.
tonight.
Yeah,
Yeah,
we
let's
are.
just
We are.
bring it
Yeah.
back to.
What does the
It's
future
great.
hold for Sid Green and the Mono Nest studio? Are you still really busy?
Yeah,
Yeah.
I am. Yeah, and a few gigs are coming back.
Oh,
so
fantastic! Yeah.
1920 are playing this weekend. Down
Whereabouts?
down in Maruya.
Okay.
It's just sold out actually.
Oh, that's great.
450 people
Beautiful.
apparently.
Get
You know
down
that
there.
many, and how big's the venue?
Yeah, apparently you can.
Oh, that's all right.
Yeah,
Shit, that's great. If you
I
get
think
that.
it's an outdoor.
Okay,
one,
yeah.
so
Yeah.
it's probably different.
Do you guys have to QR then
I would say
to
so.
play?
Yeah, I would definitely say so.
yeah.
Yeah.
Fucking QR thing.
But if it gets us out there,
Well, what are you going to do with your flip phone? You won't be able to
Well,
QR.
They can manually enter you.
can they?
Because I often
Yeah, yeah.
just don't
Yeah.
take my phone places.
Okay.
we haven't discussed me getting rid of my phone, have we? We'll do it
Yeah,
like
we
that.
did.
Yeah. Put it on me again, for Christ's sake.
Yes.
Yeah.
I'm the one that gets hit in the head all the time. Concussion now.
Yeah, I need to go vegan, get that memory back.
Yeah, man.
Yeah.
Well, that's great.
It's cool, man.
Yeah,
And
gigs
there's
coming
a
back.
couple of gigs with Casey coming back. We're playing Blues Fest, Byron.
Oh, that's an all-Australian one, isn't it?
Yes. Oh, actually, no. Bon Iver, I noticed, was on it.
Oh. Well, you think if they let the tennis players with COVID come to Melbourne, surely
Surely.
they could let a few musos in.
Right.
You know.
Yeah.
That was mad what's going
They're
on down
stuck
there.
in the
man.
hotel for 2 weeks.
But there's 40,000 Aussies trying to get home. Like,
And you can bring the
priorities
tennis
first,
back.
man.
Yeah.
Surely you should get your
Yeah,
citizens
but,
home
but that
first.
doesn't make anyone any money, does it?
No,
No.
it
No,
certainly
I
doesn't.
see someone waxing.
So what are the
balls
other
on
band members doing of Mantisa?
Well, one of them passed away.
Yeah.
Uh,
Was he the lead guitarist?
rhythm guitar player.
Rhythm, yeah.
Yeah, Chris. He was actually a pro skater as well.
Wow.
I'm trying to think. I don't
Use
know
that
much
memory.
about it. Yeah, there goes my
That
memory.
vegan super memory. It's happening.
But yeah, he was
Green beans, it'll be
yeah,
bad.
he was a fabulous guy as well. We were sort of he was a few years older than me, so
Yep.
we were sort of
Around the same level.
yeah, sort of brothers in a way. But yeah, he was a super cool dude. Yeah, I don't think any of them actually play music.
Oh, wow.
Oh.
Yeah, so
Has the singer still got abs or is he filled out a bit?
you know what? I haven't seen him in a long time. But he is on social media. I think he's pretty cut. I think he works in sort of scaffolding and stuff. So he's
Wow.
he's still pretty
Can't
lean.
lose it, eh?
Oh, but
No.
imagine
Yeah.
going
Oh,
from
good on
a
him.
Tested and back to
What was that?
Wow.
That Rodriguez
I really don't
documentary.
know.
Did you see that one, Sugar Man? And he's working. Rodriguez, you know, is a great acoustic artist, and he's working in Detroit or something, demolishing houses.
And he's like huge in Africa,
It's
South
huge
Africa.
in South Africa. And his mate said, "What are you doing this week?" And he goes, "Oh, some guys in South Africa are flying me down there to play a gig." And all his mates are just laughing at him like this crazy Mexican. What's he talking about? You know. And he gets on the flight and walks down the flight, and there's all these limos there, and he goes, "Oh, who's that for? It must be someone on this plane." And it was like for him. And so he's a guy that's demolishing houses, you know, with sledgehammers and that.
Superstar.
And he's a
somewhere
superstar.
Superstar,
When he was really
yeah.
big in Australia as well.
He
you
was,
know,
yeah.
Do you know his
He's-
music? Oh man,
I don't know.
you'll
maybe
love
when
it.
she
Sugar
plays.
Man.
Sugar Man.
Mm.
Yeah, we'll
Seen
put a
the
few links.
doco advertised.
Yeah, it's a great doco, man.
Yeah.
Well, that's what's the guy's name? The lead singer, Mantisa.
Oh, Adam.
So Adam's got that kind of story as well. You guys might be big in Africa or something.
Have you ever thought of a reunion gig?
No,
No?
actually, no. I don't think a reunion gig would work for that band. Yeah, it would probably take a lot of, probably take another $300,000, I reckon.
Oh, shit.
You
So
see
if
what
anyone
I'm-
wants to pledge some
Yeah,
money,
yeah.
let's
See what
get
I'm
the
doing
band
there?
back together.
I was going to say you could play in that new studio.
Yeah, once the walls fall in.
Yeah, I know. I think it would take probably a lot of rehearsal to get
Yeah.
anything up for that band. I think. I mean,
Yeah.
there's lots of bands forming and doing
Yeah.
sort of reform shows.
Well,
and
Midnight
stuff.
Oil, they got a new album out.
Really?
Yeah, yeah. And it's actually, it's Midnight Oil. I don't think they've lost it. They sound like Midnight Oil.
I used to
you know?
love them.
Well, most of those guys have not stopped playing.
Yeah.
really.
I was
Yeah.
actually at the Gumnut Patisserie in Mittagong. You don't go to one in Barrel because there's always queues out front. You go to one in Mittagong, no one knows about it. And there's a guy behind me, and I turn around and he's just got a blue shirt on and a cap. I've known him from somewhere else. It was Peter Garrett.
Cool.
Yeah.
You couldn't
So-
tell from the way he was moving?
Yeah, it was weird though. I
He
thought he
had a
might
hat
have had
like
cerebral
that on.
palsy or something. Like it was going, I'm like, dude. So, but he was alright. I actually met him a couple of times. He's really tall.
He's a nice chap.
Yeah,
actually.
he's really cool. He used to come into the cafe I was running, and his wife's super lovely, man. So, but I wanted to say something to him because we'd actually had this discussion. My wife and I were listening to Midnight Oil on our trip up to Mittagong, and I've made an Aussie playlist, you know, and I put US Forces on it.
Oh, good.
Yeah.
Yeah, so, and which I think is just a rocking song. I think you might have produced it a bit better if you'd had the chance, though. I wasn't that impressed with the production. And at the
It was
beginning
the
of
80s.
yeah, US Forces, it's got this cheap synthesizer with violins going dring like this, and they do it 4 times. They're like, it's 30 seconds into the
Yeah.
song, and and it's got nothing to do with the rest of the song. And so I was kind of
What
blown
the
out in the
fuck's it in
car.
there for?
Like, who the hell was this producer? What was he thinking? And then Peter Garrett was in the bakery. And I almost brought it up with him, you know. I'm like, I just want to know who did that. But then that's a bit of a negative thing to say, so I just left it alone.
You really could probably say that someone probably bought it for like $4,000 that day and went, we are using this thing today, whether it needs to go on a record. I don't care which record it is.
You seen that Saturday Night Live skit where he's like,
The cowbell?
yeah. Christopher
Need more
Walken.
cowbell.
Yeah.
Very good.
Oh, this has been great. So thanks for coming on,
Man,
man.
thanks for having me.
Appreciate you
Been
coming.
great.
Yeah, just spew out my...
Yeah, I'm sure you got plenty more stories, man. We'll have to get you back on.
Yes,
Yeah,
fucking
man,
oath.
that was
sure.
great.
It'd be great to delve into some of that stuff.
Yeah, it's awesome. And now it's here for prosperity.
Boom.
Boom.
All right, guys. Thank
Right,
you.
appreciate you.
thanks, fellas.
Thanks.
All right.
Oh, we're fading out now too. We are just. I mean, watch out.
Oh, no, it's this one. I'll put this on. I'll put the wrong one on. That's crazy. I'm a new DJ.
Sounds good.
Nice drummer as well. Actually, what's that drumming? Yeah.
We didn't even know.
We were jamming that with